Chapter 1491 Top Grade 1, Myling. Don't spout nonsense. As soon as the woman spoke, the man beside her immediately rebuked. Cousin, these are my heartfelt words. I've said it before, if you really like these two girls, I don't mind you taking them. The woman named Myling said with a magnanimous look. Do you know what you're saying? When did I say I'd take them in? The man sighed and said helplessly. Don't you like them very much? As long as cousin likes it, I will help you get it. Who asked me to be your fiancé? Myling said seriously. Myling. You. The man was so angry that he couldn't speak. Listening to their conversation, Lung Ruoxue could not help but feel a few black lines sliding down her forehead. She thought to herself, these two people are really of the highest quality. They don't even ask for other people's opinions, and are so self-righteous. She didn't say that she was going to sell the grapes and lotus seeds, so how could this woman take the liberty to give her maidservant to someone else? He should at least ask for her opinion, right? Even though Lung Ruoxue was a little unhappy to hear their conversation, she was still a little confused and did not intend to speak immediately. Instead, it was Grape who could not hold it in any longer and shouted. I'm saying this for the last time. Listen up, we're not selling. She would definitely not be someone else's concubine. You guys can give up on that idea. It's not up to you to decide if you want to sell it or not. If this big brother is willing to sell you to me, you will naturally have to listen to my arrangements, and you will not be able to object. Myling said with a faint smile, her face full of pride. Stop dreaming. My young master will never sell us off. Grape said confidently, her beautiful face full of disdain. Oh really? I don't think so. Myling didn't mind. In her opinion, as long as she had enough money, there was nothing she couldn't buy. Then, she looked at Lung Ruoxue shyly and said coyly, Good brother, sell me your two maidservants. I really like them. As soon as Myling finished speaking, Lung Ruoxue, Grape, and Lotus Seed had goosebumps all over their bodies. They were so frightened that their hair stood on end. Oh my God! This woman changed her attitude faster than turning a page in a book. She was so arrogant in front of her and Lotus Seed. But in front of her miss, she became a weak and helpless woman. However, she was really curious. If Miss Myling knew that her miss was also a woman like her, would she still pretend to be a little bird? Grape couldn't help but think to herself. At this moment, she was filled with curiosity, and her disgust for this woman could only be ranked at the back. I'm sorry. I'm not selling my maidservant. Let's go. After Lung Ruoxue finished speaking to Mei Ling, she turned to Ning Hai and the others. In fact, she didn't want to be too entangled with two passers-by. So, although their words were unpleasant, she didn't want to argue with them. Otherwise, wouldn't it be endless? The three of them nodded and left without looking back. After returning to the inn, Lung Ruoxue helplessly realized that the couple had actually returned with them. However, the inn was considered a public place and they could not chase them out. Hence, they could only return to their own room. After entering the room, Lung Ruoxue began to ask about the entire incident. Shouldn't you two tell me what happened just now? Lung Ruoxue raised her brows and asked indifferently, Miss, you don't know how unlucky we are. Upon hearing Lung Ruoxue's question, Grape immediately poured out her grievances. Her beautiful face was still full of grievances. Lung Ruoxue nodded, but did not reply. Instead, she used her eyes to signal for Grape to continue. Didn't we go to watch the show? In fact, the commotion was caused by them. For some reason, the two of them actually quarreled on the street, and attracted a lot of people to watch. After we went over, the man inadvertently glanced at us. That girl called Myling said that the man had taken a fancy to us, and even said that he wanted us to be his concubines. Miss, this is definitely an unexpected disaster. I won't be curious anymore, woo, Grape said with lingering fear. This time, she was really scared. Miss, I regret it too. Lotus Seed chimed in. She looked at Lung Ruoxue with a hidden bitterness in her eyes. Her eyes were red and full of hope. Please comfort me. Continue. Lung Ruoxue held back her laughter. After hearing what Myling said, we immediately rejected her. However, she didn't give up and actually followed us all the way back. Miss, you know what happened after that. Grape explained the reason in a few words, sighing as he spoke. Miss, in my opinion, that Myling girl is just a love-struck fool. I hope she doesn't fall for you, otherwise, with her logic, she might just make you her boy toy. Grape could not help but remind him. I'm not interested in women. If she really has such an idea, I can only tell her that I like men. Lung Ruoxue replied nonchalantly. If that woman was just saying it verbally, she could still forgive her. However, if she were to put it into action and do something that she shouldn't do, then she couldn't be blamed. Miss, then should we tell her that we like women? Hearing Lung Ruoxue's words, Grape had an idea. If you still want to have an unclear relationship with them, then go and tell her. In fact, the best way to deal with such a sticky person was to ignore her. Otherwise, it won't be over if she pesters you. Lung Ruoxue smiled as she reminded. Then forget it. We'll be leaving tomorrow morning anyway. Grape said, a little scared. Yes. Lung Ruoxue nodded and laughed in her heart. It seemed like Grape and Lotus Seed were really frightened. Haha. The next morning, Lung Ruoxue and the other two left the room to meet up with Ning Hai. However, they found the fiancé from yesterday in the group. Instantly, the three of them were in a bad mood. When Ning Hai saw them coming out, he quickly walked up and whispered, Ruhan, I only found out yesterday that they're from the Qi family. They're also going to the Ning family, so. Ning Hai was a little embarrassed to say it. In fact, when they came to find him yesterday and asked to go with him and the others, he wanted to refuse, but because of the Qi family's face, he couldn't refuse. After all, the relationship between the Ning family and the Qi family was still very good. Moreover, they were ordered to visit the Ning family. As a member of the Ning family, he couldn't reject the guests. If the direct line of the Ning family knew about this, he would also be punished. However, as long as he thought of what they had done yesterday, it was impossible for him not to feel conflicted. Therefore, he was also very conflicted, but he had to give face to the Qi family. Chapter 1492, Top Grade 2. I understand. Big Brother Ning doesn't need to mind. Lung Ruoxue smiled and consoled him. It's good that you understand, Ning Hai said with a bitter face. Big Brother Ning. Let's go. Lung Ruoxue held back her laughter. Let's go. Under Ning Hai's command, everyone walked towards the city gate together. However, the one called Myling ran to Lung Ruoxue's side as if she was familiar with her, and kept chattering. After a long time, Miss Myling, aren't you tired after talking for so long? Lung Ruoxue rolled her eyes and said in a speechless manner, I'm not tired. Brother Lung, you don't have to worry about me. Myling's face was filled with shyness, and her cheeks were flushed. You're not tired? I'm tired of listening. Can you be quiet for a while? Even though Lung Ruoxue was seeking Myling's opinion, her tone did not allow anyone to reject her. Brother Lung, how could you do this to me? I like you so much. As Myling spoke, her tears continued to fall. Seeing this situation, Ning Hai and the others knew to stay as far away as possible. Miss Myling, you have a fiancé, you should know what you should say and what you shouldn't say. Don't cause me any trouble. Lung Ruoxue warned with a cold smile. She had never seen a woman who dared to say that she liked another man in front of her fiancé. This woman was really a weirdo. Moreover, such ambiguous words would only bring trouble to herself. Therefore, she was getting more and more impatient with this woman. Brother Lung, I just like you. How can you treat me like this? Is it wrong to like someone? Hearing Lung Ruoxue's words, Myling felt even more aggrieved. There's nothing wrong with liking someone. It's your identity that's wrong. Miss Myling, please conduct yourself with dignity. Lung Ruoxue reminded. After she finished speaking, she looked at the man not far away with a half-smile. This man named Qi Fei was really patient. Hearing that his fiancé liked another man, he didn't have any reaction at all. She really didn't know if he didn't care about his fiancé, or if he had other plans. As she thought of this, she became more alert towards Qi Fei. After Lung Ruoxue finished speaking, she walked to Ning Hai's side and walked alongside him. Hee. Brother Ruhan, you're really a source of trouble. Ning Hai laughed and joked. Big Brother Ning. Most of the calamities are innocent. Lung Ruoxua said helplessly. She now firmly believed that even if someone didn't want to cause trouble, trouble would come knocking on their door. And that was what she was like. Yes, I agree with this. Ning Hai agreed, but he still laughed happily. Big brother Ning, how far are we from the Ning family's divine realm? Lung Ruoxua asked anxiously. Brother Ruhan, are you in a hurry to go to the Ning family, or are you trying to get rid of someone? Ning Hai was very curious and asked instead of answering. I want both, Lung Ruoxua said. Hehe. Well, reach the Ning family's divine domain after passing through the forest ahead. However, it'll take a few days to reach the main city. Ning Hai explained with a smile. And Lung Ruoxua nodded her head in understanding. She could already see the forest that Ning Hai had mentioned. It did not seem to be very big. Don't underestimate this forest. Although it's not very large, it's a very important barrier of our Ning clan's divine realm. Furthermore, this place is filled with fog. If there's no one to lead the way, it'll be very difficult to leave this place safely. As if he knew what Lung Ruoxua was thinking, Ning Hai explained. After he finished, he handed Lung Ruoxua a black pill and motioned for her to eat it. Then he distributed the pills to the others. Young Master Qi, do you need this pill? Ning Hai asked politely. Thank you, noble son Ning. We've already prepared the pills. Qi Fei said gratefully. Then he took out 2 black pills. He gave one to Meiling and ate the other. This medicine is for the marsh gas poison? Lung Ruoxua understood. Don't be afraid. It's not very bright inside, but it's not too dangerous. Ning Hai promised. After all, this forest was the only way to the Ning family's divine realm, so he was very familiar with it. I'm not afraid. Lung Ruoxua smiled faintly and thought to herself, I'm not a 3-year-old child. How can I be so easily scared? Then the group walked straight into the forest. The forest they had entered was called the Tiger Roar Forest. Although it was only 1,000 miles in radius, it was full of huge trees and luxuriant leaves. The plants grew well here, but the air inside was not flattering. It was still day, but it was almost like night. It was dark as far as the eye could see. If Ning Hai had not prepared a torch, it would have been difficult to move even an inch. Ruhan, young Master Qi, all of you be careful. It's not easy to walk here. Ning Hai reminded. And Lung Ruoxua nodded and gestured for Grape and Lotus Seed to come to her side. Brother Lung, I'm also scared. Seeing this, Meiling couldn't help but say with jealousy, damn it. On what basis could those 2 lowly servant girls enjoy such treatment? Young Master Qi is here to protect you. What are you afraid of? Lung Ruoxua said with a smile. He is him. Big Brother Lung is Big Brother Lung. I want Big Brother Lung to protect me. Meiling said willfully. I'm sorry, Miss Meiling. I don't have that duty. Lung Ruoxua rejected without any hesitation. She had never hated a woman so much before. Although this woman called Mei Ling was not like other women who treated her as an imaginary enemy when they saw her, that was because Mei Ling treated her as a man. So she couldn't stand it even more. This woman's fiancé was clearly next to her, but she still stuck to her without care. What did she think of her fiancé? If Qi Fei was a petty person, he would hate her. So this woman was not only asking for trouble, but also brought trouble to her. How could she have a good impression of such a woman? Brother Lung, how could you say that? Isn't protecting a weak woman something that you men should do? Meiling said in disbelief, her eyes filled with tears again. There's such a thing? How come I didn't know about it? Lung Ruoxua played dumb. Young master, only self-righteous men like to do this kind of thing. Your strength is not high, so this kind of thing will not be your turn. So, you just need to protect yourself and don't worry about the other women. Grape said with a smirk. Who said that? A man who knows how to show tenderness to women is a true man. After hearing Grape's words, Meiling retorted loudly. Oh, then don't treat me like a man. Lung Ruoxua said disapprovingly. Brother Lung, how can we do that? Meiling's eyes were filled with tears, and she said with a disapproving look. Chapter 1493, Top Grade 3. Miss Meiling, I only have the strength of a mid-level deity. I still need others to protect me. Where would he have the heart to show tenderness to women? However, if it's because of this, it doesn't matter if you think him not like a man. I don't care about what others think. Lung Ruoxua pointed out. The outsider she was referring to was naturally Myling. Big brother Lung. Myling was full of resentment, and at the same time, she was a little hesitant. Before this, she had been paying attention to the other party's extremely handsome face, and had really ignored his strength. Well, what should she do? Do you still want to continue sticking to brother Lung? However, his cultivation level was too low. However, there were only two reasons for him to be able to live in the divine world as a mid-level deity. One was that he was doted on by his family, and the other was that he was extremely talented. No matter which one of these two reasons was, it seemed to be quite attractive. The only thing she did not know was the strength of brother Lung's family. She had never heard of the Lung family having a place in the divine world. However, looking at brother Lung's temperament, he did not seem to be from an unknown family. When she thought of this, her mind was spinning, and she even thought that the other party might be hiding his identity, which made her excited. If that was the case, she had to make good use of the opportunity, Myling thought to herself. At this moment, Lung Ruoxua was still unaware that she had been treated as a little fat sheep waiting to be slaughtered. However, even if she knew, she would not take it to heart because in her eyes, Myling was just a passerby. Big brother Ning. Will we be able to walk out of this forest today? Lung Ruoxua ignored Myling's bitter expression and turned to ask Ning Hai. It's going to be tough today. I should be able to leave by this time tomorrow. Ning Hai said with a smirk. He felt a little sympathy for Lung Ruoxua. When she was a woman, she was treated with hostility by women. Now that she was wearing men's clothes, she was entangled by women again. And she was a woman with a master. Sigh. This was chaos. Fortunately, Chi Fei didn't mind his fiancé's behavior. Otherwise, Ruoxua would have been implicated again. Then let's find a place to camp while we walk. Lung Ruoxua suggested. Don't worry. I've already chosen the place. It's also relatively safer there. Ning Hai promised. He had almost grown up in this forest, and his Ning family often arranged for the younger generation to come here for experience, so he was very familiar with this place. Or rather, it could be said that this was the back garden of the Ning family. Since Big Brother Ning is leading the way, I don't need to worry. Lung Ruoxua laughed lightly as she teased. That's a must. Let's hurry up. When we arrive at the campsite I've chosen, everyone can take a rest, Ning Hai said. Following that, the group continued to move forward. Myling also stopped because she was treated coldly by Lung Ruoxua. However, her resentful gaze continued to follow Lung Ruoxua. Not long after, Ning Hai pointed to a spacious and clean place and said to everyone, "This is the place. Everyone, let's set up the tent first." And everyone nodded. After setting up the tent, Lung Ruoxua entered the tent to rest while the others went hunting. When Lung Ruoxua walked out of the tent, Grape and Lotus Seed had already prepared some food. Ruhan, you've come out. Ning Hai said with an ambiguous smile. He knew very well that Lung Ruoxua had entered the tent to avoid harassment. And that woman was indeed quite annoying. Big brother Ning. Where are they? Lung Ruoxua's beautiful eyes looked around, but she couldn't find any traces of Myling and Chi Fei. They went hunting with Hong Wuan and the others. Ning Hai explained. Oh. Lung Ruoxua nodded and found a place to sit down. Xiao Budian, who was in her arms, sniffed the food and was almost drooling. Are you hungry? Lung Ruoxua gently stroked Xiao Budian's fur and picked up a piece of pastry to pass to him. Big sister is the best, the little guy happily said. He was becoming more and more satisfied with this big sister in his heart, even though the man and beast did not get along very well at the beginning. Sister, they're back. The little guy heard the sound of footsteps from far away and said, "N." Lung Ruoxua nodded. After a while, Hong Wuan and the rest returned. However, there was no smile on their faces. What kind of situation was this? Hong Wuan, what did you guys get? Lung Ruoxua asked curiously. Young master, don't even mention it. We didn't get anything. Hong Wuan looked at Myling and said angrily, Why didn't you get any? Didn't you get 2 rabbits? Myling said, unconvinced. She knew that these people had pushed the responsibility of not hunting too many prey on her. There are so many of us here. Are 2 rabbits enough to fill the gaps between our teeth? Hong Ling retorted sarcastically. It's better to have something to eat than nothing. If you think it's too little, then give it all to me. I don't mind it being too little. Myling said impolitely. You wish. We caught these 2 rabbits. You don't have a share. If you want to eat them, you can catch them yourself. Hong Wan said with a look of disdain. Not putting in any effort when hunting, and even thinking of getting a share of the loot with just these 2 rabbits. What kind of person was this? Humph. I'll do it myself. Cousin. Let's go fight again. They were just 2 rabbits. What's the big deal? Myling turned to Chi Fei and said. Myling. Don't mess around and just stay here. Chi Fei's eyes were wide open. Cousin. Are you even a man? You're already being bullied. Yet you're still swallowing your anger. Myling heard Chi Fei's words and roared in anger. Shut your mouth, you hear me? Chi Fei was a little angry. This cousin of his was really too insensible. She even caused trouble for him when she was outside. In fact, he knew very well that if it wasn't for the Chi family's face, these people wouldn't even pay attention to them. Unfortunately, this cousin and fiancé woman couldn't see this truth. He was even more unwilling to ruin the friendly relationship he had built with these people, because of this woman that he hated. Cousin, you dare to be fierce to me? I'll definitely tell my aunt. Seeing that her own cousin wasn't helping her, Myling instantly felt very embarrassed. She couldn't help but look at Lung Ruoxue from the corner of her eyes, hoping to seek some comfort. Unfortunately, Lung Ruoxue didn't even look at her, which made her even more vexed. As you wish. Chi Fei said disapprovingly, then turned around and returned to his tent. Myling saw that everyone was looking at her with gloating eyes, and her face instantly burned as if it was going to burn. I'm going hunting, Myling said angrily. Then she turned around and ran away. Young master, would it be okay for her to go hunting alone? Could something have happened? Grape looked at Myling's back and said worriedly. That woman was not easy to worry about. She was really afraid that Miss Myling would cause them some trouble. Chapter 1494. The Dark Tiger King 1. Big Brother Ning. I'll have to trouble you to send some people to follow her. If something happens to her, the Chi family might have some ideas. Lung Ruoxue said after some thought. All right, he said. Ning Hai nodded, then ordered a few men with relatively good strength to follow and protect Myling in secret. Young master, you're so kind. I don't care if she's dead or alive. It's best to let her be taken away by the wolves, so as to avoid causing trouble for us. At this moment, Hong Wan angrily walked in front of Lung Ruoxue and complained. Ha ha. Hearing Hong Wan's words, everyone couldn't help but laugh. Hong Wan, the wolf won't be willing to take her away. Grape said with a serious face. Why? Hong Yuan was confused. Ask your brother Qing and you'll know. See if he's willing. Upon hearing Grape's words, Hong Wan's face turned red. She looked at the person she liked and was instantly embarrassed. Ooh, how could she have forgotten that brother Qing was a wolf? Could it be that she had been pretending to be a human for too long and had forgotten that she and brother Qing were beastie? I don't want to. Qing Yun hurriedly said, and his words caused the crowd to roar with laughter. Ning Hai patted Qing Yun's shoulder like a big brother and said, Ha ha ha. Brother, of course you're not willing. You're not a wolf. Hehe. That's right. Qing Yun pretended to be stupid, but he couldn't help but think in his heart. Who said he wasn't a wolf? But wolves also had taste, okay? Dinner passed in a cheerful atmosphere. Lung Ruoxue and the rest had decided to rest, but Myling and the others had not returned yet. Seeing this situation, Lung Ruoxue could not help but regret asking Brother Ning to send people to protect her. Ruhan, you guys go rest first. I'll bring some people to look for them. Ning Hai saw Lung Ruoxue's worried expression and couldn't help but say. It was fine for men like them to sleep less, but Ruoxue and the rest were delicate girls. If they didn't rest well, it would be very hard to travel tomorrow. It doesn't matter. I'm not sleepy yet, Big Brother Ning. I'll go with you. Lung Ruoxue said. Actually, she wasn't worried about Miling's safety. She was more worried about the team members that Big Brother Ning had sent out to protect Miling. You stay here obediently. Big Brother Ning is very familiar with this forest. He'll be back soon. If I bring you along, he'll have to take care of you. Ning Hai deliberately put on a disdainful expression. He was just short of directly saying that Lung Ruoxue was a burden. All right. He'll be waiting here. Lung Ruoxue smiled helplessly. That's a good girl. After Ning Hai finished speaking, he was about to take the other brothers to find her, but he was stopped by someone. Wait. Young noble Ning. I'll go with you. It was Chi Fei who stopped them. He heard from outside the tent that Miling and the others hadn't returned yet, so he couldn't help but worry. Although he didn't like Miling, she was still his cousin. All right. Ning Hai nodded. Although he hated Miling, he had a good impression of Chi Fei. Looking at the back of Ning Hai and the others, Grape's disgust for Miling deepened. What a woman who doesn't know what's important. It's fine if she ran out alone, but it's so late and she doesn't know how to come back. Isn't she just causing trouble for others? Miss, you should go rest first. I'll look after this. Grape whispered to Lung Ruoxue. I'm fine. I'm not that weak. Lung Ruoxue chuckled. After she finished speaking, Lung Ruoxue sat down beside the fire. Her beautiful eyes seemed to be focused on the fire, but her thoughts had long drifted 1,000 miles away. After a long while, Lung Ruoxue and the others who were guarding the campsite heard a series of hurried footsteps. They looked up at the same time, and saw Ning Hai and the others running towards the campsite with nervous faces. They looked extremely embarrassed. Big Brother Ning. What happened? Are you guys hurt? Lung Ruoxue saw that Ning Hai and the rest were all covered in blood and asked in confusion. Ruhan, there's no time to explain. Quickly pack up and leave this place immediately. Ning Hai urged. And Lung Ruoxue nodded, then gave Grape and Lotus Seed a look. The two of them immediately understood and quickly packed their things. However, before the group could leave, they heard howls coming from the forest. They rose and fell one after another and did not stop. Furthermore, from the sounds, there was more than one type of beast. Captain, they're coming. What do we do now? When someone heard the beast's roar, he immediately panicked and said in fear, Be a little more promising, okay? Not even women are as timid as you. Ning Hai growled in a low voice. In fact, what he wanted to say more was that women were not afraid. What are you afraid of? Big Brother Ning. Let's go. Lung Ruoxue reminded. She could tell that Big Brother Ning and his group had most likely provoked the beasts in the forest. Now that they had angered them, they were gathering their companions to take revenge. One had to know that other than the beasts that lived in groups, any beast that could gather its companions could be called a king, and their strength could not be underestimated. Thus, leaving this place as soon as possible was the best plan. Yes. Ning Hai nodded and said, Everyone leave this place quickly. However, before they could leave, they heard a slightly gloomy voice in their ears. You want to leave? No way. Today none of you will leave this place. As soon as he finished speaking, a huge black figure descended from the sky and stood in front of Lung Ruoxue and the others. Immediately after, countless beasts swarmed in from all directions. Their dark green eyes were like a tiger's eyes. Under the dim night sky, they were like searchlights that sent chills down one's spine. Young master. It's the Dark Tiger King. Grape looked at the huge creature in front of her, and was so scared that she stuttered. In the divine world, the king of tigers was the White Tiger clan. They were also born to be kings and had a supreme position among the beasts since ancient times. As for this black tiger, it was a mutation of the white tiger, and was quite rare in the divine world. They were called the Tiger King because of their absolute strength. Even when the White Tiger and the Dark Tiger King were of the same level, they were still considered as the King of Tigers. The Dark Tiger King was still slightly better. However, the Dark Tiger King in front of them seemed to be even more powerful than Ning Hai. Wouldn't that mean that it was at least a 7th-rank sacred beast? Although a Class 7 sacred beast was equivalent to a divine lord, a human divine lord might not be a match for a Class 7 sacred beast. In addition, the Tiger King had gathered so many underlings. Therefore, it would be a difficult thing for them to leave safely. Hearing Grape's words, Lung Ruoxua lifted her beautiful eyes to size up the black tiger who was looking at them arrogantly. Seeing the tiger's disdainful gaze, Lung Ruoxua did not know whether to laugh or cry. Who would have thought that one day, he would actually be looked down upon by a beastie? What the hell was this? However, this tiger was really beautiful. Its black fur was smooth and soft, and it felt very good to the touch. Coupled with its huge body, it looked even more majestic. With just one look, Lung Ruoxua, who loved beasts by nature, had a good impression of it, even though this big black tiger was currently glaring at them with an angry expression. Chapter 1495, The Dark Tiger King 2. Humph. You're quite knowledgeable, but you'll still die. The Dark Tiger King said arrogantly. In the divine realm, it was not that there were no naturally black tigers, but those ordinary black tigers were different from it. It was a variant of the White Tiger clan, so how could ordinary black tigers compare to it? However, many people could not tell the difference between the Dark Tiger King and ordinary black tigers, and would often mix them up. Seeing that this little girl had recognized his identity, he would give them a quick death later. Even if you want to kill us, you should at least give us a reason. Otherwise, even if I die, I'll still come and bother you. Lung Ruoxua laughed lightly and said with a shameless look, whether there's a reason or not, you're all dead. The Dark Tiger King was so angered by Lung Ruoxua that it could not say a word. White smoke kept coming out from its huge nostrils. It was obvious that it was quite angry. I'm not convinced. Since you're a king, you should at least convince us, right? Lung Ruoxua ignored the Dark Tiger King's anger, as she spoke in a calm manner. Humph. If you want to be convinced, you'll have to ask yourself what good things you've done. When the Dark Tiger King said this, its pitch-black eyes were so furious that they were about to spew fire. What did we do? We've been obediently staying in our own camp all this time, but you, on the other hand, have surrounded us with your subordinates in such an aggressive manner. May I ask what you want? Lung Ruoxua pretended to be confused. Even though she didn't know how Big Brother Ning and the rest had angered them, she could only play dumb for now. Humans are indeed cunning. If you want to know what you've done, why don't you ask your companions? The Dark Tiger King suggested. It could not detect the aura from its cave on this human, so it immediately concluded that this human did not know why it had surrounded them. However, this did not mean that it would let this human off. All right, Big Brother Ning. Now, can you tell me what happened? Lung Ruoxua's beautiful face was filled with helplessness. This Tiger King was not easy to fool. Ruhan, we have indeed angered them, but this has nothing to do with you. I will explain to the Dark Tiger King and beg them to let you go. Ning Hai said apologetically. Big Brother Ning, what are you saying? Am I a person who is afraid of death? I just want to know what happened. You have to let me die knowing why. Lung Ruoxua said with slight displeasure. Ruhan, don't be stubborn. Staying alive is more important than anything else. Ning Hai had a headache. This girl. This was not the time to throw a tantrum. Why couldn't she just listen to his arrangements? When he thought of this, he felt a headache. Big Brother Ning. I just want to know what happened, and why you guys provoked the Dark Tiger King. Lung Ruoxua smiled as she reminded him. Who can tell me? Seeing that Ning Hai didn't say anything for a long time, Lung Ruoxua could only turn her attention to the others. She knew that Ning Hai didn't tell her because he didn't want her to get involved in this matter. However, she didn't think that the Dark Tiger King would be so easy to talk to that he would let her go just because she didn't participate. When Ning Hai's subordinates saw that their captain didn't say anything, no one dared to tell Lung Ruoxua what had happened. However, even if they didn't say anything, it didn't mean that others wouldn't. When Myling saw Lung Ruoxua's gaze turn to her, the grievances in her heart exploded. With a wail, she burst into tears. Woo! Brother Lung, you have to save me. I don't want to die. Tell me what's going on. Lung Ruoxua heard Myling's cries and frowned, speaking impatiently. I was originally going to go hunting, but I accidentally entered this tiger's cave. We had a conflict with them, so they wanted to kill us. Woo! Big Brother Lung, you have to save me. Myling burst into tears, hugging Lung Ruoxua's arm and wailing. Enough. Don't cry anymore. Lung Ruoxue saw Miling's snot and tears all on her sleeve and growled in disgust. Brother Lung, you can't leave me behind. Miling raised her head and said pitifully, Young Master Qi, look after your woman. Lung Ruoxue didn't even look at Mei Ling and just threw her to Qi Fei. Then, she turned her eyes to Ning Hai and the others again and said with slight displeasure, Brother Ning, are you still not willing to tell me what happened? Young Master Lung, it's all that damned woman's fault. At this time, someone in the line couldn't help but point at Miling and say, Her. Lung Ruoxue looked at Miling and continued, What did she do? She took a fancy to a tiger that had just given birth and wanted it to be her contracted beast. The tigress was unwilling, so she fought with us. If it wasn't for the captain and the others who arrived in time to save us, we would have become their dinner long ago. That person said angrily, What's wrong with me wanting to take in a contracted beast? It's her honor that I'm interested in that tigress. She really doesn't know what's good for her. Miling shouted unhappily, You shut up. Lung Ruoxue and Qi Fei shouted at the same time, scaring Mei Ling so much that she shut her mouth immediately. However, her eyes continued to stare at Lung Ruoxue with an aggrieved look. Hehe. What a big tone. Who do you think you are to let my woman be your contracted beast? You should give this honor to someone else. At this time, the Dark Tiger King heard Miling's words and laughed in anger. I'm a member of the Qi family, one of the 8 divine domains. Do you think my status isn't worthy of a tiger? Miling said, unconvinced. Damn it, it was fine if the Ning family didn't take her seriously, but even a tiger looked down on her. It was really preposterous. I don't care how many god domains you're from. You've injured my woman and snatched my child. None of you can think of living. The Dark Tiger King's face turned serious as it said coldly, He's the one who injured your woman. If you want to settle accounts, go find him. It has nothing to do with me. Miling pointed at Ning Hai. Everyone despised Miling for betraying others without hesitation in order to survive. Even Qi Fei felt that it was a very embarrassing thing to have such a cousin, so he subconsciously kept a distance from her. You ungrateful woman. Our captain saved you. Yet you don't know how to be grateful. You even want him to be the scapegoat? Are you still human? How could the Qi family have a relative like you? You've disgraced all the 8 divine regions. Miling's words immediately made everyone unite against a common enemy, and the voices of criticism against Miling emerged one after another. I didn't ask him to save me. Besides, it was indeed him who injured that tigress. Now that her husband wants revenge, do you want to drag us into this? Miling retorted. Chapter 1496, The Dark Tiger King 3. Big Brother Ning. You've seen the current situation. Could it be that you're willing to cause others to suffer for the sake of an ingrate? Miling's words made Lung Ruoxue reveal a sweet smile. She knew that the reason why Big Brother Ning was unwilling to tell the truth in front of this tiger was probably because he was afraid that this Tiger King would be even more embarrassed and angry after knowing the truth. In addition, he also wanted to protect Miling for the Qi family's sake. However, it was obvious that she didn't need it, so Big Brother Ning was probably expressing the wrong feelings again. Dark Tiger King. Your wife was indeed injured by me, and it has nothing to do with anyone else. Please let them go. I'm willing to do whatever you want with me. Ning Hai said to the Tiger King after hearing Lung Ruoxue's words. He knew very well that the Tiger King was still in a fit of anger. So even if he said that he had nothing to do with this, the Tiger King would not believe him. Moreover, he was the one who had injured the female tiger. This was something he could not deny, even if there was a reason behind it. You're still a man, but even if you admit it, they'll still have to die. The Dark Tiger King said emotionlessly. Its pitch-black eyes swept coldly across the other people present. On what basis? We're not the ones who injured your woman. You can go look for whoever injured you. Miling couldn't help but roar after hearing the Dark Tiger King's words. Wasn't it you guys? Don't think that you can fool me just because I wasn't at home at the time. You also have my wife's scent on you. Also, my wife said that our child was taken away by a woman. That woman must be you. The Dark Tiger King's large black eyes narrowed as he continued speaking. You don't talk nonsense. I didn't steal your child. Besides, I'm not the only woman here. How can you be so sure that I stole it? Meiling argued. She must have snatched it. She was the only woman with us at that time. At this moment, someone said, "What are you talking about? How can you accuse me?" Meiling was so frightened that she quickly shouted, "Brothers, am I talking nonsense?" The man looked at Meiling sarcastically and asked the others, "No, I didn't. Indeed, there's only her." Someone echoed, "Young master, this person is really bad. She actually wants us to take the blame for her." Grape also said with a look of disdain, "Now, which one of you can tell me what happened from the beginning to the end in detail?" Lung Ruoxue gave Grape a consoling look and told everyone. Actually, she wanted them to go into detail mainly for the Tiger King. "Ill talk." Someone said, "It's like this. Didn't Captain ask us to follow her quietly? At first, we followed her. Later, we followed her into a cave. There was a beautiful white tiger in the cave. This Miss Meiling wanted it to be her contracted beast, but the other party refused, so Miss Meiling wanted to use force. Who knew that she would anger the tigress? Miss Meiling was no match for the tigress, and we couldn't just watch her get hurt, although she was quite annoying, so we fought with the tigress. Originally, we only wanted to bring Miss Meiling out of the cave. We didn't want to hurt the female tiger, but Miss Meiling refused to leave and insisted on getting some benefits. We couldn't stop her, so we could only think of a way to hold the female tiger back. Later, the female tiger suddenly went crazy and we were almost killed by it. At that time, the captain and the others arrived to save us. If it wasn't for Captain, I'm afraid we wouldn't be in this world anymore. Now that I think about it, Miss Meiling must have taken the mother tiger's child away at that time, and that's why the mother tiger went crazy. The man recalled the scene and explained, "Dark Tiger King, the matter is clear now. Everything started because of this woman. I'll hand her over to you now. You can do whatever you want with her." Lung Ruoxue said emotionlessly. Right now she didn't care who Mei Ling's daughter-in-law was. If she wanted to appease the Tiger King's anger, she had to give him an explanation. Of course, she wouldn't hand over Big Brother Ning, so she had no choice but to hand over Mei Ling the culprit. "Do you think I'll let you go just because you gave me a useless woman?" The Dark Tiger King laughed coldly, and the words, whimsical, were written in its large black eyes. "What else do you want?" Lung Ruoxue asked with a smile. "You will all be buried with my wife. And my child, hand over my child and I can give you a quick death." The Dark Tiger King said coldly, "Your wife is dead." Lung Ruoxue was a little surprised. "Impossible, I didn't kill it." Hearing the Dark Tiger King's words, Ning Hai was also confused. "It has lost too much blood and won't live for long. This is all your fault." The Dark Tiger King's anger soared to the heavens. It wanted nothing more than to swallow these abominable humans alive. Initially, it had spent a lot of effort to find medicinal herbs to recover its strength when its wife was having a difficult labor. However, it did not expect to see its wife lying in a pool of blood when it rushed home. She was on her last breath. In addition, its wife had told it that the child that they had painstakingly given birth to had been snatched away by a human woman. The anger in its heart deepened. Its child. It had never seen its child before. Was it going to face the fate of being bound to a human contract the moment it was born? No. As the noble king of the tiger tribe, he would never allow such a thing to happen. He would never allow his own child to become a slave to humans. Therefore, it had brought the subordinates it had gathered to chase after them. Dark Tiger King, calm down. I might have a way to save your wife. Lung Ruoxue consoled. Even though the Shadow Tiger King had always wanted to kill them, she understood the pain of losing its loved ones. Hence, she did not wish to form a grudge with the tiger. "Do you really have a way to save my wife?" The Dark Tiger King asked doubtfully after hearing Lung Ruoxue's words. "I'll have to see how your wife is doing first." Lung Ruoxue didn't dare to be too confident. "Good. If you can save my wife, I can spare their lives." The Dark Tiger King said after some thought. The them it was talking about did not include Ning Hai. "If I can save your wife, you can't kill Brother Ning." Lung Ruoxue said bluntly. "Why? He injured my wife and caused it to suffer so much, so I must kill him." I can't let my wife be bullied for no reason. The Dark Tiger King said stubbornly. Dark Tiger King. Even though Big Brother Ning injured your wife, he did it to save his own brother. So from this point of view he's not in the wrong. Lung Ruoxue said indifferently. However, before she could finish her sentence, she was interrupted by a furious voice. Is my wife in the wrong? If it wasn't for you humans, would my wife have gotten even more injured? The Dark Tiger King roared in anger, and the anger in its heart shot up to its head. Chapter 1497. The Dark Tiger King 4. Your wife did nothing wrong. Lung Ruoxue let out a soft sigh. She could understand the tiger's anxiety, so she naturally wouldn't be bothered by its rudeness. Tiger King. Both noble son Ning and your wife did nothing wrong, so if you want to settle this matter, you should find the culprit. Grape could not help but interrupt. What you said makes sense. After hearing Grape's words, the Dark Tiger King's eyes widened and stared at Myling. Human. Hand over my child, and I can let you die a quick death. I didn't take your child. Myling stammered. She knew that she couldn't take out the two little tigers, or she would die. Human. Since you're so insensible, don't blame me for being impolite. After the Dark Tiger King finished speaking, it raised its huge claws high up in the air, intending to land them on Mei Ling's body. However, when Mei Ling saw this scene, she was so scared that she had already collapsed onto the ground. Don't kill me. Don't kill me. If you kill me, you won't be able to find your child. Myling said as she cried. Damned human. You dare to threaten me? The Dark Tiger King was enraged. Fuck. It had never been threatened by anyone in its long life. However, this detestable human woman made it feel as if it was unable to follow its heart. It was even more afraid of shooting at the rat for fear of breaking the vases. This was because its newborn child was in her hands. Therefore, when it heard her threat, the Dark Tiger King was at a loss for what to do. I am telling the truth. If you kill me, you can forget about seeing your children. I hid them in a place that no one knows. If I die, they will starve to death. Myling mustered her courage and threatened. Although she was very scared when she said this, she believed that the Tiger King would not abandon her child. All right. You win. If you return my child, I will not kill you. The Dark Tiger King sighed and said helplessly. Although he said that, his hatred for Myling grew even deeper. For the sake of its own child, it could spare her this time, but if she offended it again, then don't blame it. You mean what you say? Myling asked worriedly, her body still trembling slightly. I'm not a human. The Dark Tiger King said disdainfully. He was basically saying that only humans would make irresponsible remarks. All right then. I'll believe you this once. Mei Ling said fearfully. She then walked behind a huge tree and took out a small black tiger from her storage ring. It was just like the Dark Tiger King. As the little tiger was just born, it had yet to open its eyes. Its tiny body was not even the size of an adult's fist. It was a fluffy ball and looked very cute. Myling walked to the Dark Tiger King and placed the little black tiger on the ground. Then, she ran back to Lung Ruoxue and the others. My child. My child. The Dark Tiger King was extremely excited as it used its paws to gently pick up its little baby. This was the first time it had seen its own child. However, when it picked up its baby, it realized that something was wrong. Its baby's breathing was very weak and intermittent. Seeing this, it was angry again. Human. What a good thing you've done. The Dark Tiger King let out a loud roar as its pitch-black eyes looked as if they were about to spew fire. Its newborn child was supposed to be breastfed, but it was stolen by this damned woman and had no idea where she had placed it. As a result, its breathing was weak. This was clearly a sign of its body being unhealthy. Otherwise, its child would have been able to open its eyes by now. Didn't I return your child to you? Mei Ling played dumb. In fact, she had taken away two little tigers, one black and one white. The female tiger was injured, so she was careful and returned the black one to the Dark Tiger King. She was betting that the big black tiger didn't know how many children it had. In this way, she could have a beautiful white tiger. How proud would that be? However, Her originally happy thoughts turned into guilt because of the Dark Tiger King's anger. You still have the nerve to say that? I had 2 children, but you only returned 1 to me. Furthermore, you caused my child to become like this. Quickly hand over my other child, or else you'll have to bear the consequences. The Dark Tiger King squinted its eyes and said in an extremely displeased manner. There were 2 of them, but now there's only 1 left. That one is dead. Miling's mind turned quickly, and she plucked up her courage to lie. Anyway, this tiger had said that as long as she returned the children to it, it would not kill her. It did not say that she had to return 2 children to it. So, Miling thought that her life was saved, and so she lied without any fear. Do you think I'm that easy to fool? I think you really won't shed tears until you see the coffin. The Dark Tiger King scoffed. Humans are truly cunning. They actually thought that they had found a loophole. It wasn't that easy to fool. Believe it or not, I've already returned the child to you. You can't kill me. Miling reminded. You did return my child to me, but I was the only one you returned. Furthermore, you caused my child to become like this. Do you think I will let you off? The Dark Tiger King laughed. This human was too full of himself. He had said that he wouldn't kill her if his child was safe and sound. However, this wasn't the case. One of his children's whereabouts was unknown, and the one in his palm was on the verge of death. How could he let her go? If you've returned it, then you've returned it. As the Tiger King, you can't go back on your word. Miling kept biting on the Dark Tiger King's words. This was her life-saving charm. Human, do you think I'll let you go just because you played mind games with me? The Dark Tiger King laughed in spite of itself. Its own child was already on the verge of death. If it stubbornly kept its promise, it would look down on itself. Moreover, even though it had promised that it would not kill this human woman as long as she returned its child, how did this human do it? Feeling the killing intent in the Dark Tiger King's voice, Miling's heart trembled. She gathered her courage and asked, I've already returned the child to you. What else do you want? I'm going to kill you. The Dark Tiger King roared. After it finished speaking, it stretched out its huge palm and grabbed Miling in front of it, as if it was holding a little chick. Arg! Let me go. Quickly let me go. Miling, who was suspended in midair, was flailing her limbs around. Her heart began to tremble. This time, she was really prepared to die. Let you go? Didn't you say that my other child is dead? Then you can go and be buried with it. The Dark Tiger King said without any emotion. He didn't die. It didn't die. If you let me go, I'll return it to you. Miling cried. Chapter 1498. Temporary Partner 1. Do you think I'll believe you again? The Dark Tiger King squinted his eyes and asked with a faint smile. I'm telling the truth. Trust me one more time. If I dare to lie to you, it won't be too late for you to kill me. Miling cried. That's good. I'm giving you one last chance. The Dark Tiger King glared at Miling and threw her to the ground. It then released a trace of its aura, so that she would not dare to play any tricks. Mei Ling, who had been thrown to the ground, trembled as she took out the other dying white tiger from her beast storage ring. She placed it in front of the Dark Tiger King, and looked at the Tiger King without daring to move. She was extremely afraid. Although she wanted to ask for help, she was so scared that she couldn't say anything. Seeing the little white tiger whose breathing was even weaker than the little black tiger's, the rage in the darkness Tiger King's heart rose. At this moment, it even had the thought of dismembering this woman into 1,000 pieces. Its good child had actually been harmed by this detestable human woman into such a weak state. This human truly deserved death. At the thought of this, it increased its pressure. Miling, who was under great pressure and fear both mentally and physically, actually peed her pants unconsciously. Seeing this, everyone looked at Mei Ling with even more disdain. Even Qi Fei felt embarrassed, but no one wanted to plead for her. If it wasn't for her, how would they have provoked the Dark Tiger King? Right now, their lives were in the Dark Tiger King's hands. If the Tiger King was unhappy, none of them would be able to leave this place alive. So, at this time, they didn't have the mood to care about Miling's life. However, Myling, who was curled up and trembling on the ground, didn't realize her ugly state at all. At this moment, her heart was filled with fear. Sister, the two little tigers are going to die. Suddenly, Qingju's voice rang out in Lung Ruoxia's heart. Why would I? Lung Ruoxia replied in disbelief. From what she knew, weren't beastie all very strong? Even if it was a baby beast without parents, it would not die easily unless it met its natural enemy. Sister, this is the divine realm. If a cub is born here, it will be very difficult for it to grow up safely without the protection of its parents. Firstly, there are many natural enemies here, and secondly, the spiritual qi here is too brutal, so the cub can't absorb it normally. Thus, after they are born, they need their mother to feed them personally. However, these two little fellows were stolen from their birth, and their mother had a difficult labor when giving birth to them. Thus, I guess that these two little fellows have yet to drink their mother's milk. It's also because of this that their bodies are slightly weaker than ordinary baby beasts. Qingju explained. Not only that, during this period of time, they have been locked up in the beast storage ring by that hateful woman. That place has a suppressing effect on the beasts themselves, so it has also caused their bodies to become even weaker. Therefore, they won't be able to live for long. However, Big Sister should be able to save them. Qingju added. They're too small, they can't eat pills. Lung Ruoxia shook her head in denial. After hearing Qingju's words, she did have the intention to help the two little fellows. However, their bodies were too weak and could not withstand the medicinal effects of the pills. Even if she wanted to save them, she had no way of doing so. At the thought of this, she looked at the two little fur balls lying on the palm of the Shadow Tiger King. Lung Ruoxia's heart felt terrible. She liked Beastie. These two cute little fellows had not even seen their parents once, and they were going to leave them forever. Even a person with a heart of stone would not feel comfortable seeing this. Sister, if you can cure their mother and let their mother feed them milk, they will be able to survive for the time being. When they are a little older, you can give them pills and their lives will be saved. Qingju thought for a while and reminded. Yeah, why didn't I think of that? Lung Ruoxia was overjoyed. If she could cure the female tiger, her mother's milk would naturally contain some medicinal properties. With that, these two little fellows could be considered half alive. Hee. Big Sister's concern has made her confused. Qingju said with an embarrassed smile. These two kids are really worrying. Lung Ruoxia nodded. She then turned to the Dark Tiger King and said, Tiger King, I have a way to save your wife and child, but I need your cooperation. You really can. The Dark Tiger King, who was crying in its heart, hurriedly raised its head when it heard Lung Ruoxia's words. Its pitch-black eyes stared unblinkingly at Lung Ruoxia. Previously, it had only half believed Lung Ruoxia's words, but now with the condition of its wife and child, it had no choice but to place its hopes on her. Lung Ruoxia felt immense pressure when she saw the anticipation on the Tiger King's face. I've said it before, I can give it a try. Lung Ruoxia reminded. She had said before that they needed to check on the condition of the female tiger before deciding if they could save her. However, the Shadow Tiger King's attention was all on Myling and the two children, so they had yet to communicate properly. If you can cure my wife and child, I can let these humans go. The Dark Tiger King thought for a while before slowly speaking. It knew that this was definitely a condition that this human was going to put forward. However, if he could really cure his wife and children, it was not impossible for him to let these humans go. The humans that it mentioned included Ning Hai and the woman who had stolen its children. Good. I'll do my best. Lung Ruoxia said with a faint smile. She didn't expect the Dark Tiger King to reveal her thoughts. However, this was good as well, because this was indeed her goal. Also this time, the Tiger King no longer stubbornly wanted to kill Big Brother Ning. As for Myling's life or death, she didn't care at all. Following that, the Dark Tiger King brought Lung Ruoxia and the rest to its cave. The reason why it brought them along was because it was afraid that they would run away. After all, it was still hard to say if the other party could cure its wife and children. If anything were to happen to his wife and children, then all these humans would not need to live anymore, especially that damned human woman. Thinking of this, it turned its head to look at Myling, who was being dragged on the ground by its underlings, and its killing intent rose. When they arrived at the cave where the Dark Tiger King was, the Dark Tiger King left the others outside the cave, and only allowed Lung Ruoxue to enter. Seeing this, Grape and the others were a little worried. Tiger King, am the young master's maidservant, let me in to help. Grape-faced man said with a smile. All right then. You're the only one allowed to go in. The Dark Tiger King said after some thought. Lung Ruoxue and Grape followed the Dark Tiger King into the cave, observing the surroundings as they walked. The cave was huge and it was clean and refreshing. After walking for more than 10 minutes, they arrived at the Dark Tiger King couple's bedroom. Although it was called a bedroom, it was actually a relatively cleaner cave. There was a huge stone bed, and on the stone bed was a huge white tiger. It was weakly groaning. Chapter 1499. Temporary Partner 2. Hearing the footsteps, the white tiger forced open its big blue eyes. When it saw its husband, its heart seemed to calm down. It looked at its sweetheart gently, and closed its eyes again tiredly. I'm back. The Dark Tiger King strode over to his wife's side, and called out gently, We've found our child. You can rest assured. Seeing the white female tiger's eyelids move slightly, the Dark Tiger King continued. However, it did not dare to tell its beloved wife that its child was also on the verge of death. Miss, can that female tiger be saved? Listening to the Dark Tiger King's mumbling, Grape asked in a soft voice with some sympathy. It was all the trouble caused by that annoying woman, causing his family to be separated. I don't know. Lung Ruoxue let out a soft sigh. If it was possible, of course, she would want to treat the mother and her 2 children. However, the tiger's condition seemed rather serious, so she was not very confident now. You can come over now. At this moment, the Dark Tiger King, who had spent some time with his beloved wife, said to Lung Ruoxue. And when Lung Ruoxue heard the Dark Tiger King's words, she immediately walked forward. However, just as she picked up one of the female white tiger's huge claws, the female white tiger suddenly opened her eyes and stared at her with a wary look. Don't be afraid. I just wanted to take a look at your injuries. Lung Ruoxue consoled him softly. Yenner, don't move. No one will dare to hurt you with me around. The Dark Tiger King also said, afraid that his wife would move around and tear her wound. Yes. Hearing her husband's words, the female white tiger Yenner relaxed, but her blue eyes were still alert. Even though Lung Ruoxue felt a little helpless, she did not care. After checking the female white tiger's injuries seriously, she took out a healing pill and stuffed it into the female white tiger's mouth. The injuries on the female white tiger's body, one was due to excessive blood loss caused by difficult labor, and the other fatal injury was in the abdomen. If she did not guess wrong, that injury should have been caused by Brother Ning. Although there were some other injuries in other places, they were basically superficial wounds and not very serious. As for the wound on the abdomen, it healed quickly after taking the pill. However, the damage caused by a difficult birth could not be easily cured by 1 or 2 pills. After all, difficult birth consumed the essence of the mother's body. Therefore, in addition to the healing pill, the most important thing was to recuperate well. This was similar to the principle of human labor. Although the female white tiger's body was still very weak, it did not affect her from feeding her babies. However, when she saw her 2 babies who were as weak as kittens, tears immediately rolled down from her eyes. My child. My poor child. Yenner cried as her heart ached. She blamed herself for not taking good care of the children, causing them to be so weak. At this time, her heart was in pain as if it was being pricked by needles. Don't cry. You and the child will be fine. Lung Ruoxue quickly consoled Yenner when she saw her crying. Please save my child. Yenner raised her head and looked at Lung Ruoxue with her big, watery blue eyes. Her face was full of pleading. The pill that this human had given her was very effective, so she firmly believed that she could cure her baby. At this moment, it could be said that she had placed all her hopes on Lung Ruoxue. If you want me to save them, you have to cooperate with me. They are still too young, and their bodies can't withstand the effects of the pill. So, you have to take care of your own body first, and then feed them until they are white and fat. Only then will I have a way to recuperate their weak bodies. Lung Ruoxua smiled as she reminded him. I'll do whatever you say. When Yan heard Lung Ruoxia's words, she quickly replied. Then, she carefully placed the two little babies on her chest. When the two little furballs smelled the milk, they arched their little heads and instinctively sucked. This was the two little fellows' first time drinking mother's milk. Looking at the white tiger's gentle and motherly expression, and then at the dark tiger king's dumbfounded expression, Lung Ruoxua and Grape tactfully retreated out of the cave. However, even so, they had no way of leaving this place. This was because the underlings of the Dark Tiger King were keeping a close eye on them. Myling received special treatment from them. After a long while, the Dark Tiger King walked out of the cave with a face full of joy. He came to Lung Ruoxia's side and said, My wife and children are not in danger for the time being. Thank you for saving them. I will keep my promise and will not kill you. The Dark Tiger King's words made everyone's hearts finally relax. However, the Tiger King's last letter made them depressed again. However, I plan to stay with you until my wife and children are fully recovered. The Dark Tiger King added with a smile. Seeing everyone's expressions change again and again, it was in a very good mood. Good. No problem, Lung Ruoxua laughed. Having such a powerful bodyguard by her side was more than she could ask for. However, the others did not think as open-minded as her. As long as everyone thought of the fact that they had a beastie by their side, and that this beastie was very strong, their hearts would be in a mess. When are you guys leaving this forest? The Dark Tiger King asked. Tomorrow morning, Lung Ruoxua replied. Then I'll go pack up and leave with you guys tomorrow morning. After the Dark Tiger King finished speaking, it turned around and returned to the cave in an extremely elegant manner. When the crowd saw the Dark Tiger King's expression, they knew that what was done could not be undone. It was impossible to change this fact, so they could only accept it reluctantly. However, they were still a little afraid. Ruhan, I'm afraid that we won't have a good life in the future if the Dark Tiger King and his family follow us. Ning Hai whispered to Lung Ruoxua. This matter was also related to him, and he had even implicated Ruoxua. This made him feel extremely apologetic. Big brother Ning, you're thinking too much. The Tiger King's family isn't as scary as you think. The Dark Tiger King wanted to kill us before because it wanted to avenge its wife and children. Now they want to follow us because of their wife and children's health. Lung Ruoxua chuckled as she explained. Initially, she had thought that the Dark Tiger King would keep them here until his wife and children had fully recovered. Now that she could leave early according to her original plan, she was more than happy to do so. Ruhan, no matter what, I'm the one who has implicated you. Ning Hai's face was full of guilt. Big brother Ning, I don't like to hear that. How can I blame you for this? Don't take all the blame on yourself. If you didn't save others, you wouldn't have hurt that female tiger. Lung Ruoxua reminded him helplessly. Big brother Ning was good in every way, but his sense of responsibility was a little too heavy. He always blamed himself for the responsibility that he should not have taken on. It seemed that she had to give brother Ning more lessons when she was free and correct brother Ning's thinking. Chapter 1500, Temporary Partner 3? AI. After hearing Lung Ruoxia's words, Ning Hai didn't know what to say. He understood what Ruoxua meant, but he couldn't come to his senses in a short time. Big brother Ning, let everyone rest. We should be safe and sound tonight. Lung Ruoxua suggested as she looked at everyone's exhausted figures. Yes. Ning Hai nodded. With these beasts, they didn't even need to arrange for a night watch. Seeing that everyone had entered her tent, Lung Ruoxua was about to return to her tent to rest. However, before she could leave, she was stopped by Qi Fei. Master Lung, can you plead with the Tiger King to let my cousin go? Qi Fei said with some difficulty, but he still had to say these words. Otherwise, when he returned to the Qi family, his mother would blame him for not helping. Young Master Qi, I'm too embarrassed to plead with the Tiger King for your cousin, after what she has done. However, if you want to go, I won't stop you. In fact, I suggest you don't go. It's a thankless effort. It's good to let your cousin suffer a little. Lung Ruoxua said with a smile. Without waiting for Chi Fei's response, she entered her tent. After entering the tent, Grape asked with a puzzled look, "Miss, didn't the Dark Tiger King say that he wouldn't kill them? Then why is Chi Fei still begging for mercy?" "Silly girl, he only said that." "Well, just listen to him and forget about it. Do you really think he'll go and find the Dark Tiger King? Although the Tiger King promised not to kill us, he didn't say that he wouldn't torture Myling. So Myling's physical pain is inevitable. No matter who goes to beg for mercy, the Tiger King won't give face. Otherwise, where would the dignity of the Tiger King be?" Lung Ruoxua chuckled as she analyzed. "AI. It seems that Chi Fei was just acting. I really thought he was that affectionate." Grape said with a look of disdain. "This is human nature. You've been in the Yin family for so many years. You can't still be so innocent, right?" Lung Ruoxua asked in amusement. "Of course not, I just didn't realize this at the moment," Grape said, a little embarrassed. "Rest early. With the Dark Tiger King's family coming with us, there's going to be a lot of fun to see in the future," Lung Ruoxua said. "Ehe, miss. I'm really looking forward to it," Grape and Lotus Seed said with some excitement. The next morning, Lung Ruoxua and the other two had just walked out of the tent when they saw the Dark Tiger King couple already ready to attack. Their baby was currently lying on his parents' wide back, sleeping soundly. "Can we set off now?" When the Dark Tiger King saw Lung Ruoxua come out, it nodded its head in a friendly manner. Among all these people, the person it had the best impression of was this human. "Yes." Lung Ruoxua looked at the conflicted crowd and nodded. Other than the Dark Tiger King's family of 4, the Tiger King's underlings had also followed Lung Ruoxua and the others. Lung Ruoxua turned around to look at the huge formation behind her, and a helpless smile appeared on her beautiful face. Wasn't the Tiger King's display of power a little too much? In the Dark Tiger King's words, his wife and children were too weak. If he brought these underlings with him, they would be able to take care of him on the way. As for Mei Ling, the Tiger King didn't kill her. However, she lost her freedom because she was always guarded by the Tiger King's most trusted underlings. She was also tied up by a rope and dragged on the ground by the Tiger King's underlings. The other people in the group all began to feel uneasy with the beastie as their companions, who asked the beastie to look at them with a hint of hostility. Furthermore, the average strength of these beastie beasts was at least class 5 sacred god beasts, which put an enormous amount of pressure on them. Although the Tiger King had said that he would not kill them, if the Tiger King changed his mind, they would lose their lives. Before they left the forest, Lung Ruoxua took a look at Beastie who was following behind her and suggested to the Dark Tiger King, "Tiger King, it's a little inconvenient for them to travel like this. Why don't you let them transform into human form?" The Dark Tiger King thought for a moment before finally nodding. "All right. You all should do as young Master Lung says." It still gave Lung Ruoxua a lot of face. Yes, even though the Dark Tiger King's underlings were not too willing, they could not disobey their king's orders. In the blink of an eye, tall and burly men appeared in front of Lung Ruoxua and the others. "Tiger King, how about you guys?" Lung Ruoxua asked as she looked at the Tiger King's family, who had yet to transform into their human forms. "Little Yan's body is too weak. It's not suitable for her to transform into a human form. I have to accompany her." The meaning of its words was very clear. It wanted to maintain its beast form. All right then. Lung Ruoxua was helpless. Bringing 2 tigers with her would not attract more attention than bringing a group of beasts, right? After that, everyone left the roaring tiger forest together. After leaving the forest, they would be in the Ning family's divine territory. However, it would take a few days to reach the Ning family's main city. However, Ning Hai could relax now that they were in the Ning family's divine territory. Ruhan, the city in front, is the territory of the Ning clan's divine realm. After flying for a while, Ning Hai pointed at the city on the ground and said, "They're here already?" Lung Ruoxua was a little surprised. At the same time, Huiao had also landed. "Yes, let's enter the city," Ning Hai said with a faint smile. He had been out for so many years, and now that he had returned to the Ning family's divine realm, he was extremely excited. He wondered how his parents and brother were. "All right, Seeing Ning Hai's anxious look, Lung Ruoxue quickly nodded. This should be called rushing home. He brought Lung Ruoxue, the others, and the Tiger King's family of 4 to the city gates. Ning Hai showed the Ning family's identity token and entered the city smoothly. This city was called Ningyuan City. It was a relatively remote city in the Ning clan's divine realm. At the same time, it was also the only path into the Ning clan's divine realm. This was because the Ning clan's divine realm was surrounded by mountains on both sides, and the sea on one side. Moreover, the terrain was very steep. Only Ningyuan City could lead to other places in the divine world. At the same time, one could only reach the main city of the Ning clan's divine realm by passing through Ningyuan City. After Ning Hai brought Lung Ruoxue and the rest into the city, the first thing they did was to go to an inn to rest and recuperate. They would continue to set off the next morning. The inn that he was looking for was naturally the one that belonged to the Ning family. Although this was the Ning family's territory, the Ning family did not monopolize all of the Ning family's businesses in the divine realm. This was because they also welcomed people from other families to open their shops and make money. However, the shops that were the most stingy here were definitely monopolized by the Ning family. In the room of the inn, Grape stared at Lung Ruoxue with a face full of question marks and did not speak for a long time. Grape, what's wrong with you now? Lung Ruoxue felt Grape's gaze and asked in confusion. Miss, what are we doing in the Ning clan's divine realm? Grape was a little puzzled. Chapter 1501, The Back Mountain 1. I'm here to find someone. Lung Ruoxue said with a faint smile. She didn't seem to have mentioned this to these 2 girls yet. Miss, do you know anyone in the Ning family's divine realm? Grape said with a face full of surprise. Woo. Young Miss really has a lot of secrets. My godfather lives in the Ning family's divine realm. Lung Ruoxue laughed evilly and did not reveal the identity of her godfather. Oh, Grape nodded. So Miss was here to find her family. Miss, when can we find your godfather? Grape could not help but ask. We should be able to find him once we reach the Ning family's main city. Lung Ruoxue said calmly. Miss, I don't know if I should say this. Grape hesitated, her beautiful face blushed even more. If you have something to say, just say it. Lung Ruoxue rolled her eyes at him. Miss, it's not easy to enter the Ning family's main city. It's the most important center of the Ning family. If we want to get in, I'm afraid it won't be easy. Grape sighed and told the truth. Don't worry. We will definitely be able to get in. Big Brother Ning will lead us. Lung Ruoxue gave Grape a consoling look. Yes. Although Grape nodded, she was not as optimistic as Lung Ruoxue. They were both from the 8 great divine regions, but the Ning family's main city was obviously much harder to enter than the Yin family's main city. Grape, we've already arrived at the Ning family's divine realm, and I won't leave easily until I find my godfather. So don't be so pessimistic anymore. Since you're here, you should take it as it is. Lung Ruoxue consoled Grape with a smile when she saw how uneasy he was. Miss, I just wanted you to be mentally prepared. Grape said, a little embarrassed. I'm prepared. Lung Ruoxue said helplessly as she looked at the little housekeeper who loved to worry. After staying the night at the inn, Lung Ruoxue and the rest continued on their journey the next morning. 5 days later, they had finally arrived at the Ning family's main city. Ning Hai, Lung Ruoxue, and the others showed their identity tokens and were about to enter the city. However, they were stopped by the city guards. Wait! The guard shouted. What's wrong? Ning Hai looked at the guard who stopped them with a face full of question marks. You can go in, but they can tea. The guard said. Why? They are my brothers. Ning Hai asked in confusion. It'll be the acting family head's birthday in a few days, so the checks on those who enter the city are much stricter. Apart from the Ning family and those sent by other families to congratulate him, other people who don't like him are not allowed to enter the city. The guard said in a serious manner. The birthday of the acting patriarch. Ning Hai understood, but the substitute master's birthday hadn't been so strict before. Don't make things difficult for me. The guard looked at Ning Hai and said. The Ning family's tokens were also divided into 3 levels. The ordinary clansman's tokens were divided into 3 levels, namely primary, intermediate, and advanced. The token in Ning Hai's hand was an intermediate level token, which also meant that Ning Hai still had a certain status in the Ning family. Therefore, the guard's attitude towards him was quite good. Big brother guard. Can you make an exception? I can guarantee that they're not bad people, and won't cause trouble at the substitute family head's birthday. Ning Hai pleaded. At the same time, he secretly stuffed a piece of high-grade crystal into the guard's hand. Seeing this, the guard's face revealed a trace of a smile, and said with some difficulty, "Although this is somewhat against the rules, since they are the people you brought here, you have to look after them well. Otherwise, I will not be able to explain it to you. Don't worry, big brother. We'll keep a close eye on them." Ning Hai quickly promised. "Since that's the case, you can bring them into the city." The guard let them through. Ning Hai gave Lung Ruoxue and the others a look, indicating that they should quickly follow him into the city, in case a long night would bring trouble. After entering the city, before Lung Ruoxue and the rest had the chance to take a good look at the city's scenery, they were brought to a private residence by Ning Hai. From the outside, the house didn't look very big, and the appearance was quite simple. Through the door, one could see that the courtyard was very clean, and there were all kinds of flowers planted in the small courtyard, which looked very warm. Father, mother, little brother in back. After pushing open the door and entering, Ning Hai shouted at the top of his lungs. At the same time, a 16 or 17-year-old boy ran out of the courtyard and also shouted and threw himself into Ning Hai's arms. "Big brother, you're finally willing to come back." The young man grumbled with a bitter expression. "Hee, Shan, I haven't seen you for a few years and you've grown up." Ning Hai looked at his precious little brother and said happily, "Big brother, who are they?" After being intimate with Ning Hai for a while, Ning Shan realized that there were a lot of people behind Ning Hai, and he was suddenly embarrassed. "They are my good brothers," Ning Hai said proudly. Then he turned to Lung Ruoxue and said, "Ruhan, this kid is my younger brother Ning Shan." "Hello, Shan," Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. However, she could not help but think to herself, are big brother Ning and Ning Shan really brothers? The two brothers didn't look alike at all. Furthermore, the older brother was so tall and strong, while the younger brother still looked like a young man. "Hello." Ning Shan took a look at Lung Ruoxue's alluring beauty and lowered his head in embarrassment. He thought to himself, this brother is too beautiful, even more beautiful than any woman I've ever seen. "Shana, arrange a place for them to stay. I still have something to do, so we'll be back later." Ning Hai ordered, then turned to Qi Fei. "Young Master Qi, shall I bring you to the main residence?" "No need. I know the way. Young Master Ning has just returned home. It's better to catch up with your family," Qi Fei quickly said. In fact, the reason why he followed Ning Hai here was mainly to take his cousin away. He just didn't know if the Dark Tiger King would be willing to let her go. However, as soon as his eyes landed on Myling, he received a sharp glare from the Tiger King. He was so scared that he didn't even dare to ask. After calming down a little, Qi Fei gathered his courage and said, "Tiger King, can you return my cousin to me?" When the Dark Tiger King heard Qi Fei's words, it only blinked and didn't respond. When Lung Ruoxue saw this, she smiled and pleaded, "Tiger King, you've tortured Miss Myling a lot along the way. Why don't you return her to your cousin? If I return it just because you say so, how embarrassing would that be for me?" The Dark Tiger King raised his eyelids and said in a slightly displeased tone, "Then what do you want?" Lung Ruoxue asked. "She has harmed my wife and children to this extent. Although I promise not to kill her, if I let her go just like this, how can I answer to my wife and children?" The Dark Tiger King asked with a frown. Then, its tone changed as it continued. "It's not impossible for me to let her go, but you have to compensate for my wife and children's mental damage and medical expenses. Their injuries can't be in vain." Chapter 1502. The Back Mountain 2. After hearing the Dark Tiger King's words, Lung Ruoxue was already laughing in her heart. This Tiger King was quite similar to her. It actually knew to charge for mental damage and medical expenses, but how much was it going to charge? As she thought of this, she looked at Qi Fei, then looked at the Dark Tiger King, and said, "Young Master Qi, what do you think?" Qi Fei was speechless. Along the way, the Tiger King had beaten and scolded his cousin. He had tortured his cousin to the point that she didn't even look like a human anymore. Now he even wanted to ask for a ransom from him. What the hell was this? However, could he not care about his cousin's life? The answer was no. I wonder how much Tiger King wants. Qi Fei had no choice but to ask carefully. My wife and children are priceless. Give them to me as you see fit. The Dark Tiger King said as if it did not care. Give it as you see fit? Why did he give it to her as he saw fit? He told him to give it to him as he saw fit. And he even said that his wife and children were priceless? Wasn't this clearly planning to demand an exorbitant price? Woo! How did Beastie learn to be so cunning now? Qi Fei couldn't help but curse in his heart. Tiger King, I don't have much money on me. Qi Fei said, a little embarrassed. It's okay, you can write me an IOU. The Dark Tiger King said calmly. Qi Fei wiped the cold sweat on his forehead. Fuck. He didn't hear wrong, did he? This tiger actually wanted him to write an IOU? Even if he wanted to write an IOU, it wasn't his turn to do it, right? It's not like my cousin doesn't have any relatives. Thinking of this, Qi Fei helplessly opened his mouth again. Tiger King, can you give me a few more days? I will send a letter to my uncle and ask him to send the ransom to my cousin. Yes. I just want to see the money. I don't care who gave it to me. The Dark Tiger King said in an understanding manner. Then I'll take my leave first. Young Master Ning, we'll talk again when we have the chance. After Qi Fei finished speaking, he left as if he was running for his life. How could he still dare to bring up the matter of leaving with his cousin to the Tiger King? He didn't want to write an IOU for a tiger. He would be laughed at. After Qi Fei left, the Dark Tiger King found a room for himself and used it as a temporary residence for his family of 4. As for his little brothers, they would take care of themselves, so there was no need for him to worry. Looking at the black tiger who did not treat him as a guest at all, Ning Shan blinked and asked in a small voice in disbelief. Brother, is that tiger a new beastie you took in? No. Shan, that tiger has the strength of a god king. You must treat it well. Ning Hai warned. Now that tiger was the master of the Ning family, they couldn't mess with it. Yes, these 2 big tigers are really beautiful. Ning Shan's eyes were fixed on the 2 tigers, one black and one white, and he said very happily, they're also very fierce, don't anger them. Ning Hai couldn't help but warn the Dark Tiger King. His words naturally couldn't be hidden from the Tiger King's sensitive ears. However, the Tiger King didn't care about them. Instead, it directly walked back to its room with elegant steps. After that, Ning Hai personally arranged rooms for Lung Ruoxue and the rest. Then he returned to his own room to rest. Lung Ruoxue had originally planned to take a nap as well. However, before she could sleep, she was disturbed by a certain beast who had come uninvited. Looking at the black tiger lying on the chair in her room, Lung Ruoxue said helplessly, Tiger King, you're not tired? Aren't you going to rest? I'm not tired. I want to ask you, why did you plead for that woman? I thought you were like me, wishing she was dead. The Dark Tiger King asked curiously. How can that be? Although she's very annoying, she hasn't provoked me yet. However, I know that you've always wanted to kill her, so I'm pleading for her. Lung Ruoxue explained indifferently. You did it for me? The Dark Tiger King's eyes widened in disbelief. It can be considered so. Actually, I think you've tortured her enough so you can let her go. Besides, with her personality, even if you let her go, she won't be grateful. Instead, she'll deliberately try to take revenge on you. Then, you can kill her with a legitimate reason, right? Lung Ruoxue smiled as she reminded. You're right. The Shadow Tiger King nodded its large head. Even though it had tormented that woman quite a bit along the way, it still felt a little regretful that it had promised Lung Ruoxue not to kill them. Now that Lung Ruoxue's words had reminded it, it seemed like it had made the right decision to give Lung Ruoxue a face and let them go. When it thought of this, The Tiger King could not help but feel proud of its own wisdom. Can you let me rest now? Lung Ruoxua asked. Yes. However, you have to do me a favor. The Dark Tiger King said, a little embarrassed. What do you want me to help you with? Lung Ruoxua asked in confusion. Help me think about how much I should ask them for. The Dark Tiger King said, a little embarrassed. Didn't you say that your wife and children are priceless? However, the Qi family will definitely not pay for her. Lung Ruoxua understood. If Qi Fei was willing to interfere in this matter, he would not have fled. Fuck. Then wouldn't I be unable to receive my money? That woman is really useless. The Dark Tiger King's face was filled with disdain. Haha. Don't worry, even if you can't get the money, she's still in your hands. Lung Ruoxua chuckled as she reminded him. What's the use of her, people? I can't carry it on my shoulders or lift it with my hands. You're even wasting food. How about I give her to you? The Dark Tiger King laughed evilly. It could tell that the woman had been coveting this fellow for a long time. Don't give it to me. I also think that she's wasting food. When Lung Ruoxua heard the Dark Tiger King's words, she was so frightened that she hurriedly replied. Hee. If no one comes to redeem her, I'll give her to you. After the Dark Tiger King finished speaking, he left behind a black-faced Lung Ruoxua and disappeared with a whoosh. Before she fell asleep, Lung Ruoxua couldn't help but wonder if the Tiger King would really give that woman to her. She didn't want that. After staying at Big Brother Ning's house for a few days, Lung Ruoxua and the rest had become very familiar with Ning Hai's family. At the same time, it was the birthday of the acting master of the Ning family. In the courtyard, Lung Ruoxua sat on the stone chair and chatted with Grape, Lotus Seed, and the others. These few days, she had not had the chance to leave this place, mainly because the city was more strict now. Who asked the substitute clan head to celebrate his birthday? She did not want to cause trouble for Big Brother Ning, so she could only stay at home obediently. Anyway, she had already arrived at the Ning clan's divine territory, and she would see her godfather sooner or later. Ruoxua, after the substitute master's birthday is over, I'll think of a way to bring you into the main residence. At this time, Ning Hai walked in from outside and said, now that there were no outsiders in the house, they called her Ruoxua again. Chapter 1503, The Back Mountain 3. Big Brother Ning. Don't worry, I'm not in a hurry. Lung Ruoxua laughed. Hee, since you're here, of course you have to see the person you want to see as soon as possible. Oh right, Ruoxua, what's your godfather's name? Ning Hai asked. Name? Big Brother Ning. I don't know his name. Lung Ruoxua was taken aback as she replied in embarrassment. It's not easy to find them without knowing their names. Ning Hai frowned and said awkwardly. There were many direct descendants of the Ning family. If they were to look for them one by one, it would probably take next year. Moreover, some of the direct descendants were not in the main city. Big Brother Ning. You definitely know who my godfather is. Lung Ruoxua kept him in suspense. I definitely know. Ning Hai was in a dilemma. Ruoxua was so confident that he knew her godfather. Could it be that her godfather was an important figure in the Ning family? Could it be an elder of the Ning family? Yes. Lung Ruoxua nodded. Ruoxua, which elder is your godfather? Ning Hai asked curiously. He's not an elder of the Ning family. Lung Ruoxua hesitated. If she were to reveal her godfather's identity, would she scare Big Brother Ning? Then who is he? If you don't know his name, it's fine to tell me his identity. At least this way, we can narrow down the scope and find him easier. Ning Hai reminded. If I say that my godfather is your Ning family's old ancestor, would you believe me? Lung Ruoxua laughed evilly. The moment she said this, not only Ning Hai was stunned, but even Lotus Grape and Lotus Seed were stunned. Ruoxua, this is not a joke. Ning Hai looked around cautiously. After making sure that there were no outsiders, he was relieved and said, what kind of status does the Ning family's ancestor have? How can he just casually associate with her? Big Brother Ning. I'm not joking, I'm telling the truth. Lung Ruoxua said with a serious expression. Ruoxua, you're not joking, are you? Ning Hai said with doubt. Yes. Lung Ruoxua nodded. Ruoxua, you said that you're the goddaughter of our ancestor, but do you have any proof? Ning Hai asked again. Proof? Lung Ruoxua pondered for a while before saying, I recognize the guard beside him. Ruoxua, with my status, I won't be able to see the old ancestors' guards. Ning Hai couldn't help but complain. Wu, wasn't Ruoxua making things difficult for him? He was just a small shrimp in the Ning family. How could he be qualified to see the old ancestor? He also could not see the guards by the old ancestor's side. Big brother Ning. Then tell me where the ancestor is and I'll go find him myself. Lung Ruoxua said after some thought. With Xiao Budian around, even without big brother Ning leading the way, she believed that she would still be able to see Godfather. Ruoxua, are you sure? Ning Hai was helpless. To be honest, he was worried about Ruoxua going alone. However, he didn't have the right to enter the place where the old ancestor lived, so he was afraid that he couldn't help Ruoxua. Lung Ruoxua smiled and nodded. All right then. However, don't let anyone find out about this, or else. Before Ning Hai could finish his sentence, he was interrupted by Lung Ruoxua. Brother Ning, don't worry. Even if I'm discovered, I won't betray you. Lung Ruoxua promised. Ruoxua, that's not what I meant. I'm just afraid that you'll be in danger. Ning Hai said. Actually, he still didn't quite believe Ruoxua's words. After all, the old ancestor had taken in a mid-level deity as his goddaughter. This matter was too mysterious. Big brother Ning. Trust me, nothing will happen. Lung Ruoxua promised once again. After that, Ning Hai prepared a map of the main residence for Lung Ruoxua. Actually, he had to take a risk by giving this map to Lung Ruoxua. However, out of trust for Lung Ruoxua, he still gave her the map. Furthermore, he had to hide this matter from his family, so as not to let them be worried. After getting the map, Lung Ruoxua and Ning Hai confirmed Godfather's location. They then gave some instructions to Grape and Lotus Seed, and planned to head to the Ning family's main residence. Miss, are you really not going to take us there? Before they left, Grape said reluctantly, Wu, how could Miss leave us? The young miss was really too evil. You two wait for me here. When I find Godfather, I will ask him to send someone to pick you up. Lung Ruoxua consoled. She had originally wanted to bring Grape and Lotus Seed along, but she was afraid that Godfather would not be home. So, she had no choice but to let them wait for her here. Miss, Grape and Lotus Seed's reluctance to part made Lung Ruoxua's forehead fill with black lines. It wasn't as if she wasn't coming back, so why did they have to look like this? She hardened her heart and transmitted her voice to Xiao Budian in her arms. Little guy, take me to my godfather. Do you remember the location? Don't go to the wrong place. Sister, don't worry. Leave everything to me. With a flash of white light, when Lung Ruoxua opened her eyes again, the scenery in front of her had changed. This is the back mountain? Lung Ruoxua could not help but ask as she looked at the fog in front of her. Yes, sister. This is the right place. You have to believe me. The little guy promised. After hearing Xiao Budian's words, Lung Ruoxua opened the map that Ning Hai gave her and pointed at the red dot on the map. Little guy, I wanted you to bring me here. Where is this place? Sister, I brought you here with this red dot. The little guy said in an extremely aggrieved manner. Wu, how could big sister not believe him? It wasn't a directional idiot, so it wouldn't get lost. Are you sure? Lung Ruoxua's beautiful eyes looked at Xiao Budian in disbelief. Yes, this is really the place that big sister wants to go. The little guy nodded his head vigorously. But, why is there so much fog here? Lung Ruoxua didn't understand. However, before she could figure it out, she and Xiao Budian were surrounded by a group of men in black. Who is so bold to break into the forbidden area of the back mountain of the Ning family? A tall black-robed man rebuked loudly, his voice carrying a hint of pressure. According to Lung Ruoxua's observation, this black-robed man was at least a divine emperor. Furthermore, from the silver clan emblem on his clothes, he should be the captain of these guards. The Ning family's clothes were embroidered with a clan emblem, and the color of the clan emblem was also a sign of their status in the Ning family. Except for the family master, The highest level of clan emblem was gold, followed by silver. The silver clan emblem on the guard captain's body indicated that his status in the Ning family was very high. However, no matter what status he had, Lung Ruoxue was not afraid. She hugged Xiao Budian tightly and said with a faint smile, "I want to see your family head. You want to see the patriarch? Do you think the patriarch is someone you can meet whenever you want?" The captain of the guards raised his eyebrows and looked at Lung Ruoxue arrogantly. "Your clan head is my godfather. As long as you help to inform him, he will definitely meet me. Tell him that Lung Ruoxue is here." Lung Ruoxue said confidently. Chapter 1504, Mediation 1. "I'm sorry, the master is not here right now," the captain of the guards said without even thinking. "Not here? Where did he go?" Lung Ruoxue asked gloomily. "He went to see an old friend. I don't know when he'll be back." When the captain of the guards heard Lung Ruoxue's words, although he was still skeptical, he had heard that the old ancestor had indeed taken in a goddaughter. Moreover, it seemed that the old ancestor doted on that goddaughter very much. Hence, even though he had yet to confirm Lung Ruoxue's identity, his attitude was much better. "Then is Ning Shan here?" Lung Ruoxue asked again. "You know Ning Shan? He's not here either," the captain of the guards quickly said. Since he knew Ning Shan, then Lung Ruoxue's identity should be close to the mark. After all, Ning Shan was one of the old Grand Madam's most trusted people. Even though he was the captain of the guards in the old Grand Madam's forbidden area, he was not as favored as Ning Shan in front of the old Grand Madam. "Where's Ning Yan?" Lung Ruoxue continued to ask. "Ning Yan's here," the guard captain said. After hearing the two names, the leader of the men in black didn't dare to delay, and quickly sent someone to invite Ning Yan. Ning Yan was also a favorite of the old ancestor. Although his position in the forbidden area was only a housekeeper, his status in the Ning clan was almost the same as an elder, and sometimes even more honorable than an elder. Not long after, Ning Yan arrived in front of Lung Ruoxue, surrounded by guards. When he saw Lung Ruoxue, he was shocked. "Young Miss Lung Yu, why have you come to the divine realm? Head butler, is this really the goddaughter that my ancestor acknowledged?" The captain of the guards asked in a low voice, and Ning Yan nodded his head slightly. The master often thought of this young lady. If he knew that she had come to the divine realm, he would definitely be very happy. "It's been a long time, Ning Yan." When Lung Ruoxue saw Ning Yan, she smiled and said, "It's good that I finally met someone I know. Why are you still standing there? Hurry up and invite Miss Lung in." "Oh right, send someone to inform the family head that Miss Lung is here." Ning Yan quickly ordered the captain of the guards. "Yes. Please come in, Miss Lung." After the captain of the guards confirmed Lung Ruoxue's identity, his attitude immediately took a 180-degree turn as he spoke with a smile. After Lung Ruoxue followed Ning Yan into the forbidden area, she realized that there was a formation hidden under the mist. No wonder she couldn't see the house before. However, with Ning Yan and the others leading the way, Lung Ruoxue entered the forbidden area without any trouble. The forbidden area in the back mountain where the Ning family's master lived was huge. The spiritual qi there was much denser than in the main city. There were hundreds of courtyards in the forbidden area. According to Ning Yan, other than the old ancestors' daily residence, this was also the place where the elite disciples and elders of the family cultivated in seclusion. Therefore, the security was extremely strict. If Lung Ruoxue was not the old ancestor's goddaughter, and had not been treated specially by the old ancestor, he would never have dared to bring her here. However, before they reached the courtyard where the head of the family lived, they met a group of people. When Ning Yan saw them, he sighed in his heart. "How did I meet this guy? This guy was an old-fashioned man. Hopefully he wouldn't find trouble with Miss Lung. After all, Miss Lung was not someone to be trifled with." "Ning Yan, who is she?" A middle-aged man in the group stopped Ning Yan and asked. Lung Ruoxue was not dressed as a woman, so even though he was stunned by her devastatingly beautiful appearance, he still had to treat her with caution. "Second elder, she is the adopted daughter of the master," Ning Yan said very respectfully. Although the second elder was a little old-fashioned, His character was not bad. In addition, he was respected by the clan members, so he was also a little arrogant. Goddaughter? Even if she's the master's biological daughter, the forbidden area isn't a place she can enter as she wishes. Ningyan, take her away from here. The second elder shouted angrily. Second elder. She's here to see the patriarch. Ningyan helplessly reminded him. The second elder even dared to chase away the family head's most valued goddaughter. He really had guts. Furthermore, even though Lung Ruoxua was only an adopted daughter, her position in the master's heart was something that even his own daughter could not compare to. Unfortunately, this old-fashioned man actually turned a blind eye to it. The master isn't here right now, so why did you bring her to the forbidden area? Have you forgotten the rules of the forbidden area? Even the Ning family can't come here casually. The second elder reproached. Then according to second elder's meaning, where should I place young lady Lung? Ningyan sighed and asked for the second elder's opinion. Since she's master's goddaughter, you can arrange for her to stay in the main house. However, there are too many guests in the main house these 2 days, so I'm afraid it can't accommodate so many people. You can arrange for this young lady to stay in a courtyard. It's very quiet there, and won't disturb this young lad's rest. The second elder pondered for a moment before deciding on Lung Ruoxia's residence, a side courtyard. The courtyard that second elder mentioned was located on the outskirts of Lord Ning's main city. It was indeed very quiet there, as second elder had said, because there was almost no one there all year round. To put it bluntly, no one had lived there for a long time. When Ningyan heard that the second elder wanted Lung Ruoxua to stay in a separate courtyard, he was a little unhappy. However, he did not show it. He only reminded her. The courtyard is located in the suburbs. Isn't it inappropriate for a girl like Miss Lung to live there? If the family head came back and found out that he let his precious goddaughter stay in a side courtyard, he would swallow him alive. Sob. Second elder, even if you want to die, don't harm me. You can just send a few guards to protect her. The second elder said disapprovingly. In his opinion, the strength of the family head's adopted daughter was too low. He really didn't know how she had managed to hug the family head's thigh. Ningyan was in a dilemma. The master and the great elder were not here. And the second elder was the most senior in the Ning family. Even the acting master had to listen to his orders. How could he, a mere butler of the forbidden land, refuse the second elder's suggestion? He hesitated. Just as he was hesitating, Lung Ruoxua smiled and said, "Thank you for your kind offer, second elder. You know that I like peace and quiet. Ningyan, please take me to the courtyard that the second elder has mentioned. Young Miss Lung, no one has stayed in the courtyard for a long time." Ningyan reminded her in a low voice. "It's fine." Lung Ruoxua said nonchalantly. She really didn't want to get involved in the Ning family's matters. Staying in the side courtyard could help her avoid a lot of trouble. All right then. Ningyan was helpless. He knew from the master that this young lady was a woman of her word. After that, Ningyan led Lung Ruoxua to the Ning family's courtyard on the outskirts of the city. Lung Ruoxua nodded in satisfaction as she looked at the tall courtyard walls and the vermilion red door. From the outside, this place looked pretty good. However, when she entered and saw the fallen leaves and cobwebs all over the courtyard, she could no longer remain calm. Chapter 1505. Mediation 2. How long did it take for someone to clean up the place like this? No wonder the Ning family didn't care about the environment here. The main residence was big enough, and they didn't need to live here at all. Miss Lung, why don't I bring you to a hotel? Ningyan suggested, a little embarrassed. If the master knew that his precious goddaughter had been treated like this in the Ning family, would he fly into a rage? It's all right, Ningyan. Please send someone to clean up this place for me. I still have 2 maidservants living in someone else's house. I'll go pick them up. Lung Ruoxua said nonchalantly. After she finished speaking, she turned around and left the Ning family courtyard. Ningyan was worried that Lung Ruoxua would go alone, so he immediately sent 2 guards to follow her. Lung Ruoxua walked all the way back to Ning Hai's house. Ning Hai and the others, who were worried about Lung Ruoxia's safety, were relieved to see her return safely. Wuxia, are you all right? Ning Hai came forward and asked nervously. It would be fine if they didn't find out that they were going to the forbidden area, but if they did, and they couldn't show any evidence of her being the goddaughter of the old ancestor, Wuxia would be in danger. I'm fine. Big brother Ning, don't worry. After the second elder of the Ning family knew that I was the goddaughter of your family's ancestor, he arranged for me to live in a side courtyard. I came back to pick up the grapes and lotus seeds. Lung Wuxia explained with a smile. A courtyard? No one has lived there for many years. Why would the second elder let you live there? Ning Hai frowned. It was better to continue living in his house than in that courtyard. Besides, his family also liked Wuxia. There are many guests in the main residence, so I was arranged to stay in the side courtyard. It's not bad there. The environment is quiet and no one will disturb us. I'm very satisfied. Lung Wuxia explained simply. After hearing Lung Wuxia's words, several black lines slid down Ning Hai's forehead. Quiet environment? In his opinion, that place should have been in disrepair for a long time. Grape lotus seed, let's go. After Lung Wuxia bade farewell to Ning Hai's family, she said to the two maidservants. Yes. Grape and lotus seed quickly responded. Little girl, you still have us. All of a sudden, the Dark Tiger King reminded her. It was as if it was afraid that Lung Wuxia would leave its family behind. After all, its wife and child's illness still had to be treated by this little girl. So, wherever this little girl went, they had to follow. I won't leave you behind. Lung Wuxia chuckled. Then, she brought the Dark Tiger King's family of 4 and their little brother out of Ning Hai's house under the reluctant gazes of Ning Hai and the rest. When Ning Yan saw the group of people that Lung Wuxia had brought back, he couldn't help but smile. Didn't Miss Lung say that there were only 2 maids? Why did he bring back so many people? That's right, there were also beasts. Miss Lung. Who are they? Ning Yan's face was full of curiosity. They are my beastie and my subordinates. Lung Wuxia laughed. Before they came, they had already discussed that these beasts who had taken on human forms would temporarily act as her subordinates. Oh, Miss Lung, the room is almost ready. If there's anything you're not satisfied with, I'll send people to do it. Time is tight, so we can only do this for now. Ning Yan said guiltily. Master, I've let you down. He couldn't help but wail in his heart for not taking good care of Miss Lung. I'm very satisfied. Thank you. Lung Wuxia looked at the refurbished courtyard and room. She was very satisfied with the efficiency of Ning Yan and the others. Miss Lung, I'll take my leave first. I'll send someone to deliver some daily necessities to you later. Ning Yan turned around and left the courtyard. After Ning Yan left, Grape and lotus seed circled around the courtyard. After a brief look, Grape pouted and said with a little displeasure, Miss, you're the goddaughter of the Ning family's old ancestor. And they let you live here. They've really gone too far. She felt indignant for her young miss. What's wrong with this place? People with no business will not come. Lung Wuxia said in satisfaction. She had never liked crowded places, and this was exactly what she wanted. Hee. That's true. Grape nodded with a smile. After following Miss for a while, she was familiar with Miss' preferences and naturally knew what she liked. The Dark Tiger King's family wasn't picky about their accommodation. They found a room that was pleasing to the eye and settled down. The 2 tiger cubs had grown up to about half a fist size after a period of meticulous care by the female white tiger. Furthermore, the 2 little fellows had both opened their eyes. However, their favorite thing to do was to circle around Lung Wuxia's feet like 2 little kittens. However, because the 2 little fellows were too young, Lung Wuxia and the other 2 had to be especially careful when they walked to avoid accidentally stepping on the tiger cubs. If that happened, the Dark Tiger King would definitely fight them to the death. Even so, when the Dark Tiger King saw how much his children liked Lung Wuxia, it was extremely jealous. On the day that Lung Wuxia stayed in the courtyard, Ning Yan sent people to deliver all the daily necessities. The next day Ning Hai, who was still worried, brought Ning Shan and his subordinates to visit Lung Wuxia and the others. Wuxia, no one has lived here for a long time. Even if it's cleaned up, it won't be as comfortable as my house. Why don't you move back to my house? Ning Hai looked around and said with dissatisfaction. Yup. Big sister Ruoxue, you should move back to our house. Father and mother also missed you. Ning Shan echoed. He really liked this pretty sister. Seeing them live here made his heart ache. Unfortunately, his status in the Ning family was not high, so he naturally didn't have much say. Big brother Ning, Shan, this place is not bad. I'm quite satisfied with it. Besides, your house isn't that big. We can't always trouble uncle and auntie. Lung Ruoxue rejected. Ruoxue, you're just like my sister, and my parents also treat you like their daughter. There's no trouble at all. Ning Hai's face became serious, and he said with slight displeasure. Ha, big brother Ning. Godfather will be back in a few days. We won't be staying here for long, so it's better not to move around. Lung Ruoxue couldn't help but laugh when she saw Ning Hai's expression. Alright then. However, I'll come and keep you company often. Ning Hai thought for a while and said. There were very few people here, and he was really afraid that Lung Ruoxue and the others would get into trouble. Although Ning Yan had arranged guards for Ruoxue, he was still a little worried. We welcome you. Lung Ruoxue smiled helplessly. Over the next few days, Lung Ruoxue planned to treat the two little tigers. These days, the two little tigers' bodies were getting stronger and stronger. Other than the meticulous care of the female white tiger, Yener, Lung Ruoxue's timely special treatment for the two little fellows had also played a big role. Chapter 1506. Mediation 3. Lung Ruoxue picked up the two furry little things with one hand each, and observed them for a while. She then placed them on her lap, and took out 2 pills to feed them. After they had consumed the pills, she stared at them intently, afraid that they would feel any discomfort. After about 15 minutes, the two little tigers had absorbed the medicinal effects of the pills, and began to act coquettishly with Lung Ruoxue. Seeing her baby's lively and cute appearance, the female white tiger Yin Er's heart that had been hanging in the air finally settled down. Then Lung Ruoxue passed a bottle of pills to Yin Er and told it to take 1 pill a day. Once Yin Er finished this bottle of pills, she would be fully recovered. She didn't give it to him before because the medicine was too strong and Yin Er had to feed the 2 babies, so it wasn't suitable for her to take it. However, now that the 2 little tigers had almost recovered, there was no need to worry about it anymore. Seeing that his wife and son's health had improved, the Dark Tiger King was extremely happy. However, when it saw that its child was always around Lung Ruoxue, and was even closer to her than it was to her, it felt a sense of injustice in its heart. Tiger King, I've already fulfilled my promise. Lung Ruoxue rolled her eyes at the Dark Tiger King, who was still immersed in the sea of vinegar, and reminded it with a faint smile. Well, you've done well. The Dark Tiger King praised him as if he was praising his subordinate. When Lung Ruoxue heard the Dark Tiger King's words, black lines appeared on her forehead. She thought to herself, does this Dark Tiger King treat me as a subordinate? Otherwise, why would he be so formal with her? Hee. Little girl, I'll give you that woman as a reward. It had already been a few days, and no one from the Qi family had come to deliver the ransom. Hence, it guessed that the Qi family had most likely decided to give up on that woman. It had also promised Lung Ruoxue not to kill them, and this naturally included that woman. Thus, it had been in a dilemma for the past 2 days. To it, Myling was already as annoying as a hot potato. I don't want her. Why don't you reward her to your subordinates? They will need it more. Lung Ruoxue suggested. We don't want that ugly human woman. Upon hearing Lung Ruoxue's words, the beastmen in their human forms replied in unison. They had never been so united before. Ha ha. Upon hearing their words, Grape could not help but burst out laughing. Just then, Ning Yan walked into the courtyard and saw them laughing. He couldn't help but ask curiously, what are you laughing at? You're so happy. It's nothing. I suggested that the Tiger King reward his captives to his subordinates. However, no one was willing to accept them. Lung Ruoxue explained with a smile. Oh. Miss Lung, is that young lady from the Qi family? Ning Yan suddenly asked. He had seen the captive that Lung Ruoxue was talking about before. Manager Ning Yan knows her identity? Lung Ruoxue raised her brows and asked calmly. I've only heard about it. In the past 2 days, a member of the chief family has been asking for help from the acting family head. Moreover, the acting family head has also sent someone to investigate. Ning Yan frowned. In fact, he didn't agree with the idea of acting as the head of the family, especially when Miss Lung was involved. It was even more inappropriate for the Ning family to go on. Is it Chi Fei? Lung Ruoxue asked curiously. I don't think so. Ning Yan said after some thought. That's right, Miss Lung, the clan head will be back in 2 days. He was very happy when he heard the news that you had come to the divinity, and even complained that you didn't inform him in advance. So you'd better be mentally prepared, because the clan head might be angry. Ning Yan reminded her with a smile. Head butler Ning, I didn't have a choice. Lung Ruoxue laughed bitterly. She really did not want to come to the god world. However, instead of Master Ning, another troublesome matter came to Lung Ruoxue. On the night that Ning Yan had informed her, she had been taken to the Ning family's main residence by the Ning family's guards. After Lung Ruoxue was taken away by the guards, Grape and Lotus Seed started to panic. The two of them were at a loss as to what to do, and they spun around in circles on the ground, unable to think of a good way to save their young miss. Quickly go find that butler Ning. Why are you still standing there? At this moment, the Dark Tiger King's eyelids twitched as he indifferently reminded. That's right. They were really confused by their concern. How could she forget that old man? He was Master Ning's butler. He had great power. However, the two of them weren't from the Ning family, so they probably wouldn't be able to see that old man. Ning Hai. That's right. They went to ask Ning Hai for help. Ning Hai was a member of the Ning family, so it should be much easier for him to enter the main house than them. The two of them thought about it quickly, and they both thought of Ning Hai. As they thought about it, the two of them rushed straight to Ning Hai's house. After listening to what Grape and Lotus Seed said, Ning Hai frowned and thought about it, but he didn't know what excuse to use to go to the main house. Because as a branch of the Ning family, without being summoned by the main family, or without working in the main house, he was not allowed to enter the main house at will. So it was difficult for him to enter the main house, and he needed a good excuse. Brother, didn't Miss Wu in the main residence say that she wanted to eat Mother's cooking yesterday? Why don't you let Mother bring you in? Ning Shan suddenly said. Look at my memory, how could I have forgotten about this? Oh, go find Mother now. After Ning Hai finished speaking, he went straight to his parents' room. Although his mother was only the daughter-in-law of the Ning family, because she was good at cooking, she was often summoned by the main family and asked to cook for them. Therefore, his mother had a good relationship with some of the main family's direct relatives. If his mother were to plead for Ruoxue, she would probably be fine. At the same time, in the main hall of the main residence, the acting family head of the Ning family sat on the main seat with an arrogant expression. There were dozens of elders sitting on both sides of him. After Lung Ruoxue was brought in, she stood in the middle of the hall, allowing everyone to size her up. The acting master of the Ning family, and all the elders were sizing Lung Ruoxue up. No one asked her to sit down, so Lung Ruoxue could only rely on herself. How audacious! Who allowed you to sit down? An elder shouted when he saw that Lung Ruoxue had actually ignored their presence and sat down on a chair. May I ask if I'm a guest of the Ning family or a criminal? Lung Ruoxue asked calmly with a faint smile. The elder who had spoken was at a loss for words. He had said that Lung Ruoxue was a criminal, but she was staying in a side courtyard. Furthermore, he had heard that it was the second elder who had arranged for her to stay. However, the second elder had not revealed Lung Ruoxue's identity to them. Otherwise, they would not have treated Lung Ruoxue as an ordinary guest of the Ning family and brought her here. If they had known about Lung Ruoxue's relationship with their own old grandmadam, they would not have dared to treat Lung Ruoxue this way even if they had 10 times the courage. If I were a guest, is this how the Ning family treats its guests? The guests have been here for so long, and they're still allowing me to stand. If I'm a criminal, may I ask what crime I've committed? Did you steal something from the Ning family? Lung Ruoxue let out a cold smile and thought to herself. It seems like there are quite a few good-for-nothings among Godfather's descendants. Chapter 1507, Mediation 4. Miss Lung, you've misunderstood. We invited you here to discuss something with you, and it's not what you think. After hearing Lung Ruoxia's words, the acting master of the Ning family, Ning Yuan, finally spoke. I wonder what you have to discuss with me, Patriarch Ning? I don't seem to have much interaction with the Ning family, do I? Lung Ruoxia smiled faintly and picked up the teacup on the table without any reservations. She took a sip of tea. Miss Lung, I heard that you have some misunderstanding with the Qi family? We're just trying to be the middleman to help you mediate. Ning Yuan's smile was very kind. However, Lung Ruoxia could tell at a glance that this fellow was a smiling tiger who hid a dagger behind his smile. Ning Yuan looked like he was in his 40s. He was very handsome and somewhat similar to the ancestor of the Ning family. Moreover, although he was the acting master, he was the descendant of his ancestor's grandson. Therefore, there were many people in the family who were of higher seniority than him. Fortunately, the divine world was a world where strength was respected. Otherwise he, as the divine emperor, would have been aggrieved to death. However, even so, he still had many elders above him. I have a misunderstanding with the Qi family? How come I didn't know about it? Lung Ruoxia looked at Ning Yuan with a face full of questions. Young lady Lung, someone from the Qi family said that you've captured their family's Biao young lady. So, they hope that you can be magnanimous and let that Biao young lady off. Then, the Qi family will not pursue this matter. One of the elders explained in an indifferent tone. The elder who spoke looked to be in his 40s. Although he was not very handsome, he was still considered handsome. Moreover, from the tone of his words, it was clear that he did not take it too seriously. It was just that the other party had come to beg him, so he was just making a small gesture. I'm afraid this elder is mistaken. I didn't capture the Qi family's Biao young lady. Lung Ruoxia was a little speechless. She thought to herself, could the cousin that I caught be Myling? That guy was not her captive. Miss Lung, we've already investigated. The Qi family's Biao young lady is indeed in your hands, and she's being watched by your subordinates. The elder said, and the other elders present did not interrupt. But she really isn't my captive. Furthermore, have the substitute patriarch and the elders investigated why she was captured? Lung Ruoxia asked with a smile. This? Ning Yuan and the other elders didn't know what to say. They only knew that Lung Ruoxia had a cousin from the Qi family, but they didn't know why. Their original intention was to mediate and get Lung Ruoxia to hand over the cousin, so that they could give the Qi family an explanation. Therefore, they didn't care about the dispute between them. Acting family head elders, I'll make it clear to you now. Miss Myling is not my prisoner. She was captured by the tiger couple beside me. Moreover, the husband has made it clear that as long as the Qi family pays for the mental damage and medical expenses, they will return her. But I don't understand what they said to you. How did it become me who captured Miss Myling? If I didn't cure his wife and child, we would have been buried in the tiger's mouth. Oh right, one of them is from your Ning family. If you don't believe me, you can ask him what happened. His name is Ning Hai. Lung Ruoxia explained calmly. Didn't you say that those tigers are your beastie? Since it's your beastie, then what's the difference between it and you capturing a person? It's just a matter of your words. Besides, how would beastie know to ask for mental damage and medical expenses from a person? It's clearly what you, the master, want. At this time, another elder said in an extremely unfriendly tone. I'm sorry, they're not our beastie, so I can't order them around. Lung Ruoxia said disapprovingly. So you were lying when you said they were your beastie? The elder who spoke continued. Did I tell you that they are my beastie? How come I don't remember? Lung Ruoxia furrowed her brows as if she was reminiscing. Didn't you tell butler Ning Yan? The elder warned. Oh, in fact, I only said that for the safety of the road. Otherwise, if someone has ideas about them, it will cause us trouble. Lung Ruoxia told them the truth. She didn't think that Ning Yan was the one who had told them this. She guessed that they had probably heard it from the guards. You actually dared to deceive us? The elder was enraged after hearing Lung Ruoxia's words. Deceive you? Did I? Lung Ruoxia had a smile that was not a smile on her face. This was a heavy accusation. However, before she understood the elder's intentions, she would not say anything more. Of course there is. Our Ning family can't be played like monkeys. The elder continued. I didn't say you were monkeys, nor did I play with you. However, if you really want to think that way, I can't object. Lung Ruoxue sighed and said helplessly. When Ning Yuan heard Lung Ruoxue's words, he felt his face burn. In fact, he was a little annoyed that 19th elder didn't know how to speak. In fact, he wasn't lying to them. After all, he wasn't saying this to them. Moreover, it was normal to tell white lies when one was outside. Therefore, he really didn't blame Lung Ruoxue. He just didn't know what was wrong with 19th elder today. Fuck. Did he receive benefits from the Qi clan? He could not help but think to himself. Actually, according to his original plan, he would just ask about the Qi family's matter. There was no need to take it too seriously. After all, the one who was arrested wasn't a proper young lady of the Qi family. As for Lung Ruoxue, since the second elder had arranged for her to stay in the courtyard, she might have some background. Therefore, he didn't dare to make things difficult for her. However, he didn't expect that the 19th elder would hold on to her weak point and wouldn't let go. Thinking about this, he couldn't help but feel a little annoyed. 19th elder was so angry that he couldn't speak. He didn't expect this little girl to have such a sharp tongue. It was preposterous. However, even though he was angry, he knew that he couldn't win against her. In addition, the acting family had kept shooting daggers at him, so he could only give in and stop. Miss Lung, actually, we don't have any other meaning in asking about this matter. It's just that our Ning family and Qi family have a pretty good relationship, and they've come to beg us, so we want to mediate on your behalf. Can you let go of that cousin of the Qi family for the sake of our Ning family? At this time, Ning Yuan spoke. Moreover, his tone was very good and full of discussion. Master Ning, although I really want to let her go, she's not my captive, so I really can't make the decision. Besides, the tiger couple also said that as long as the Qi family pays for the mental damage and medical expenses, they will let her go. So if the Ning family wants to help, you might as well help urge the Qi family to pay for compensation. The earlier we redeem Miss Smiling, the less she will suffer. Lung Ruoxue reminded him with a smile. Chapter 1508. Fifth young lady of the Ning family 1. I'll pass this message to the Qi clan, but how much compensation do you want? Ning Yuan asked curiously. This matter was truly strange. Beastie actually knew to compensate. The husband said that his wife and children are priceless, so let them see what they can do. Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. I see. Ning Yuan was a little depressed. No wonder the Qi family was in such a difficult position. Anything that was priceless would cost a sky-high price. However, this matter had nothing to do with the Ning family, so he didn't feel pressured. Head of the Ning family, I'll have to trouble you with this. I thank you for your help on behalf of the victim's family. Lung Ruoxue stood up and said gratefully. After she finished speaking, she patted her butt and turned to leave. Her words caused everyone to fall into a daze. For a moment, no one noticed her departure. By the time they could react, Lung Ruoxue had already disappeared. She walked out of the main hall, as if there was no one else around. Just as Lung Ruoxue stepped out of the courtyard, she saw Ning Hai wandering around outside the main hall like a headless fly. She chuckled and said, Big brother Ning, what are you doing here? Arg. Ruoxue, you're out. The acting patriarch and the elders didn't make things difficult for you, right? Ning Hai sized up Lung Ruoxue, as if he wanted to see if she had been mistreated. Looking at Ning Hai's worried expression, Lung Ruoxue laughed and said, Big brother Ning, you're overthinking it. They didn't make things difficult for me. They just want to mediate the matter between me and the Qi family. The matter between you and the Qi clan? What's the matter between you and the Qi family? Ning Hai was confused. Ha. Seeing Ning Hai's expression, Lung Ruoxue laughed happily. Then, she told Ning Hai about what had happened in the main hall. Ruoxue, I'll go and explain this to the acting family head and the elders, in case they come and make things difficult for you again. Ning Hai frowned. Big brother Ning, you don't need to go, they'll come and ask you. Oh right, you haven't told me why you're here. Lung Ruoxua asked again. I'm just worried about you. My mother wanted to enter the main residence to cook for Miss Wu, so I followed her in. I wanted to see Butler Ning Yan, but he's been staying in the forbidden area and I can't go there, so I could only stay here and see if I could find out anything. Ning Hai complained. I'll have to trouble Big Brother Ning. Lung Ruoxua said apologetically. Silly girl. I treat you like a younger sister. What trouble? I don't like to hear that. Ning Hai deliberately put on a straight face and said with slight displeasure. Hehe. Big Brother Ning. I was wrong, but the head of the Ning family and the elders are easy to talk to, so you don't have to worry. Lung Ruoxua consoled. They're only nice to you because of Butler Ning Yan. Besides, they don't know who you are. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been so polite to you. Ning Hai pouted. Although he didn't come to the main house often, he still knew the character of the elders. In fact, the masters of the major families were all the same. They looked down on people. No matter what, it's fine as long as I'm fine. Lung Ruoxua said with a smile. Ruoxua, let's quickly leave this place. A long night may cause more trouble. Ning Hai was still worried. Big Brother Ning, aren't you going to wait for Auntie? Lung Ruoxua asked with a smile. No need to wait for my mother, she is still cooking for fifth young lady. That fifth young lady is very difficult to serve, I estimate that it will take a long time. Ning Hai said. Brother Ning, you should at least tell Auntie that I'm fine, right? I don't want her to worry about me. Lung Ruoxua reminded. Ning Hai's parents were both loyal and honest people. When they lived with her, they took care of her very well, so she also liked that couple very much. The news that she had been taken away by the main family of the Ning family would definitely make them anxious. Hence, now that she was fine, she wanted to let Ning Hai's mother know. What Ruoxua said makes sense. I was too happy. I have to tell my mother about this. Ning Hai patted his head and suddenly said. He had heard from his mother that he wanted to ask Fifth Miss for help. However, now that Ruoxua was fine, he naturally didn't need to ask Fifth Miss for help. When Lung Ruoxua and Ning Hai arrived at the courtyard where the fifth daughter of the Ning family was staying, they could hear ping, 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 pang, pang noises coming from inside, as well as loud curses. The two of them looked at each other in confusion, then walked straight in. After they walked in, they saw Ning Hai's mother kneeling on the ground in a sorry state. Sitting in front of her was a beautiful woman in a red dress. The bowtie's clothes were gorgeous and her appearance was extraordinary. At this time, her face was stern, showing that she was in a bad mood. The whip in her hand was hitting Ning Hai's mother's body from time to time. Seeing this, Lung Ruoxua understood that the person who hit her must be the fifth miss of the Ning family. However, before she could react, Ning Hai had already rushed up to her. When Ning Hai saw his mother being whipped, he didn't care that the other party was the noble fifth miss. He rushed forward to snatch the whip from the bowtie's hand and threw it on the ground. Then he helped his mother up and glared at the fifth miss of the Ning family with an angry face. The anger in his heart rose even more. Where did this dog slave come from? How dare you offend me? The unparalleled beauty saw that someone had dared to snatch the whip from the tiger's mouth, interrupting her pleasure of torturing people. She roared in anger. Her roar frightened the two maidservants beside her so much that they trembled all over. It was clear how powerful this fifth young lady was. What right do you have to hit my mother? Ning Hai squinted his eyes and said in an unfriendly tone. Although he was not a direct descendant of the Ning family, he was definitely not a slave of the Ning family. However, some self-righteous people of the Ning family liked to show their superiority and order these branch family members around like slaves. In fact, if he had not been traveling for many years, he would probably treat these direct descendants as gods and be respectful to them. Unfortunately, now that he had broadened his vision and seen more things, he also knew these direct descendants merely had more noble birth than them. However, the divine realm spoke with strength. Although his strength wasn't ranked among the Ning family's powerhouses, in front of these direct descendants who had lived in luxury since young, he still had the qualifications to raise his head and stick out his chest. After all, his strength was there for all to see. So she's your mother, humph. Your mother's dishes don't suit my taste and annoyed me, so I only gave her a small punishment. What's the big deal? Fifth Miss Ning said nonchalantly. Although she didn't care about this boorish man in front of her at all, she was still wary of the killing intent he was exuding. Moreover, his strength was clearly above hers. Hiya, shut up. It's mother's fault. That's why Miss Wu is punishing her. Ning Hai's mother was afraid that her son would anger the fifth miss, so she quickly said this. She kept giving Ning Hai meaningful looks, telling him not to get involved in this matter. After all, she still wanted to ask the fifth miss for help in finding out about Wuxia. She could not make the fifth miss unhappy. Moreover, she was very clear about the fifth miss' temper. It would be fine after she beat her up to vent her anger. Otherwise, the consequences would be even more serious. Chapter 1509. Fifth young lady of the Ning family too? Mother. Even if you've done something wrong, she can't just hit and scold you, right? Ning Hai shouted angrily. Besides, that fifth miss only said that her mother's food didn't suit her taste. Was that the reason for her to hit her? Auntie, brother Ning is right. At this moment, Lung Ruoxia, who had been observing the situation for a while, spoke up. Ruoxia, you're all right? When she heard this familiar voice, Ning Hainyang suddenly turned around and saw Lung Ruoxia standing not far behind her. Her heart was finally at ease. Auntie, I'm fine. I'm sorry for making you suffer. Lung Ruoxia couldn't bear to see the people who treated her well being bullied, so this fifth miss of the Ning family could be considered to have formed a grudge with her. It's good that you are fine. It's good that you're fine. Ning Hainyang said happily. Auntie, quickly eat this pill. Lung Ruoxia saw that there were some wounds on Ning Hainyang's body, and blood was seeping out. She quickly took out a pill and stuffed it into her mouth. The pill melted in her mouth, and a faint fragrance still remained in her mouth. In the blink of an eye, Ning Hainyang's injuries were healed, but her clothes were still stained with blood. Anyone who saw it would know that she had just been whipped. Who are you? You dare to meddle in other people's business? When the fifth miss of the Ning family saw this, she roared in anger. Damn it! How could this woman be more beautiful than her? She had always been confident in her own beauty, but after seeing Lung Ruoxia, she felt a blow. This unfamiliar woman in front of her was so beautiful that it made her feel inferior. How could she accept this? Fifth Miss Ning, please remember my name. I'm Lung Ruoxia. Furthermore, I'm not a busybody. The person you hit is my auntie. How do you think we should settle this score? Lung Ruoxia said with a half-smile. She hated people who used whips to hit people the most. Therefore, this fifth Miss Ning had definitely violated her taboo. This also meant that fifth Miss Ning would not have a good ending. What did you just say? You want to settle accounts with me? Emph. You're just an outsider who came out of nowhere, and you dare to speak rudely to me, a young lady of the direct line, in our Ning family. You really don't know what's good for you. Capture this woman. The fifth young lady of the Ning family shouted angrily. The guards who heard her words hesitated and did not dare to step forward, because someone had already informed them that not only could they not provoke Miss Lung, but they also had to take good care of her. After fifth Miss Ning finished shouting, she saw that no guards were following her orders to arrest Lung Ruoxia. She could not help but feel even angrier. She also felt that she had lost face. Damn it! What were these guards thinking? Of course, she did not know that the guards did not capture Lung Ruoxia, because someone had given them a heads up. Lung Ruoxia watched coldly from the side as the fifth daughter of the Ning family jumped up and down like a clown. She smiled lightly at Ning Hai and Mother Ning Hai. Auntie, brother Ning, let's go back. Now was not the time to deal with Miss Wu. Besides, she had to give her godfather some face. After all, she was his descendant. Mother, let's go. After hearing Lung Ruoxia's words, Ning Hai didn't care if his mother was willing to leave just like that. He directly half-pushed and half-hugged his mother and Ruoxia and left together. When the fifth miss of the Ning family saw this situation, she wanted to stop them but couldn't. She was so angry that she almost vomited blood. Fifth Miss Ning could only helplessly watch as Lung Ruoxia and the other two left. Since no guards were willing to help her stop them, she could not help but vent all her anger on the guards and the maidservants. After a round of scolding, she returned to her room in anger. Walking on the main city's streets, Ning Haniang's face was still filled with worry. From time to time, she would turn her head to see if the Ning family's guards were chasing after them. When Lung Ruoxue saw this, she could not help but smile and comfort her. "Auntie, don't worry. That fifth miss won't do anything to us." "Little girl Ruoxue, you don't understand fifth miss character. She's very overbearing. This time, she's lost so much face that she won't let it go. She'll definitely find trouble with us in the future." Ning Haniang sighed, her face helpless. "Mother, since you've already provoked him, there's no use in worrying about him now. Just let nature take its course." Ning Hai advised. You child, why were you so impulsive back then? It's fine if fifth young lady only finds trouble with us, but she will not let go of little girl Ruoxue." Ning Haniang said worriedly. Ruoxue's strength was not high. If fifth miss really wanted to deal with her, wouldn't it be a piece of cake? "Auntie, I'm not afraid. I don't care about that fifth miss Ning at all." Lung Ruoxue laughed. "Little girl Ruoxue, fifth young lady has been doted on since she was young and has never been so angry before. In addition, she has a bad temper, so anyone who is targeted by her will not have a good life. Don't go head to head with her." Ning Haniang couldn't help but remind her. Actually, she was so worried because she didn't know the relationship between Lung Ruoxue and the Ning family. She only knew that Lung Ruoxue was here to find her godfather, but she didn't know that the godfather she was looking for was the old ancestor of the Ning family. Ning Hai was afraid of scaring his parents, so he didn't dare to tell them about this. That was why she was so nervous. Good. As long as she doesn't provoke me, I won't take the initiative to provoke her. Lung Ruoxue felt Ning Haniang's care and promised with a smile. Actually, even if Ning Haniang didn't say this, she wouldn't have taken the initiative to cause trouble. After all, she had to give Godfather some face. Otherwise, when Godfather came back and found out that she had taken care of his descendants, who knew how depressed he would be? After sending Ning Hai and his mother home, Lung Ruoxue immediately returned to the courtyard. After all, she had been taken away by the Ning family very suddenly, and she was afraid that Grape and Lianzi would be worried. Just as she had expected, Grape and Lotus Seed were currently pacing back and forth in the courtyard with anxious looks on their faces. Seeing their seemingly familiar actions, Lung Ruoxue could not help but laugh out loud. "I'm back. Miss, you're finally back. They didn't mistreat you, did they?" Grape sized Lung Ruoxue up worriedly. After confirming that her young lady was not injured, she finally felt relieved. "I'm fine. Who would dare to abuse me?" Lung Ruoxue didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Besides, she didn't seem to have left for long. "It's good that Miss is fine. I was just worried that you would be bullied," Grape said with a slight grievance. "Grape, remember my words. I won't take the initiative to bully others, but I won't let anyone have the chance to bully me either," Lung Ruoxue said in a serious tone. "Yes." Grape and Lotus Seed nodded, but they were still worried when such a thing happened. "I told you this little girl would be fine. You guys are just worrying for nothing." At this moment, a loud voice reached Lung Ruoxue's ears. She didn't even need to look to know who it was that had spoken. Turning her head, she saw the Dark Tiger King lying comfortably in the courtyard, basking in the sun. Lung Ruoxue pretended to be displeased and said, "They're concerned about me, unlike you who's so inhumane. Although I'm fine, I'm still in shock. I didn't see you come over to console me." Chapter 15:10. The Fifth Young Lady of the Ning Family 3. "I know you'll be fine, but since you're talking about consoling me, I'll give you that annoying woman as a consoling gift." The Dark Tiger King laughed evilly. It was in a hurry to get rid of the woman. Just a word of consolation is enough. There's no need to prepare a gift. Several black lines slid across Lung Ruoxue's forehead as she speechlessly said, "That Miss Smiling really has the heart of a tiger, huh?" He wanted to send her away time and time again, sigh. Poor woman. It's not sincere to not prepare a gift. The Dark Tiger King shook its head and said with a disapproving look, "You really don't have to prepare a gift. It's fine as long as you've done your part. I won't pick on your logic." Lung Ruoxue said hurriedly. Ai. Alright then. However, I'll always keep this gift for you. The Dark Tiger King said with some regret. Lung Ruoxue didn't know what to say. Was this tiger trying to cling on to her? She wasn't at a waste collection station. Hee. When the Dark Tiger King saw Lung Ruoxue's slightly depressed expression, he could not help but smile wretchedly. At this moment, the sound of footsteps could be heard from outside the door, followed by a voice. Miss Lung, you're back? Everyone turned around and saw Ning Yan standing at the entrance of the courtyard with a calm expression and a slight smile on his face. Miss Lung, I just heard that you were taken away by the people sent by the acting family head. I'm sorry for giving you a shock. Ning Yan said politely, even though he did not think that Lung Ruoxue would be afraid. Butler Ning Yan, do I look like I'm frightened? Lung Ruoxue laughed lightly as she teased. It doesn't look like it. Ning Yan wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and said speechlessly, the master will be back the day after tomorrow at the latest. Seeing that there was nothing else to say, Ning Yan could only drag out the time of the master's return. Yes. Lung Ruoxue nodded her head calmly and did not say another word. That. The acting family head and elders don't know Miss Lung's identity. If they have offended you in any way, I hope you can forgive them. Ning Yan said apologetically. Don't worry, Butler Ning Yan. I won't cause any trouble before my godfather returns. However, if someone tries to mess with me, don't blame me. Lung Ruoxue put the ugly words out front, so that Ning Yan wouldn't be put in a difficult position, and his godfather wouldn't feel awkward. I will increase the security of the courtyard. Ning Yan said after some thought. Yes. Lung Ruoxue nodded. Although she didn't think that Ning Yan's actions would prevent any accidents from happening, she still had to appreciate his kind intentions. Butler Ning Yan, do you know who the fifth young lady is? Lung Ruoxue changed the topic and asked around casually. Fifth young lady? What's wrong with her? Did you do something you shouldn't have? Ning Yan's heart skipped a beat, and he quickly asked. It's nothing much. She just beat up an auntie, I acknowledge. Lung Ruoxue said casually. I'll send someone to give her a warning. She shouldn't dare to act recklessly. Ning Yan promised. However, he had somewhat underestimated the extent of Fifth Miss Ning's tyranny. When Lung Ruoxue heard Ning Yan's words, she also gave him some face and said, with Butler Ning's words, I'm relieved. Actually, I don't care if she finds trouble with me or not, but she better not find trouble with my aunt's family. Otherwise, don't blame me for being merciless. Don't worry, Miss Lung. I will remind her. Ning Yan promised again. However, Lung Ruoxue was not very optimistic about his promise. She knew the fifth daughter of the Ning family all too well. She was a woman who was loved and doted on. The fifth daughter of the Ning family thought that she was of a noble status, so how could she listen to the words of a housekeeper? Even if the housekeeper had a high status in front of the master, in the eyes of the fifth daughter, he was probably just a slave. I'll have to trouble you, Butler Ning Yan. Lung Ruoxue gave him face. This is what Ning Yan should do. Ning Yan said hurriedly. After the two of them exchanged some pleasantries, Ning Yan took his leave. After Ning Yan returned to the Ning family's main residence, he personally went to find the acting master, Ning Yuan, to explain the matter. He also asked him not to disturb Lung Ruoxue. Although Ning Yuan was not Fifth Miss' father, he was Fifth Miss' uncle. Furthermore, he had always doted on Fifth Miss. Otherwise, Fifth Miss would not have dared to be so arrogant and overbearing. After Ning Yuan heard Ning Yan's words, he was shocked and carefully asked about Lung Ruoxue's identity. However, Ning Yan did not give him a clear answer. He only kept telling him not to provoke Lung Ruoxue, and to treat her with respect. Ning Yuan saw that Ning Yan was so cautious and quickly promised that he would remember it. After sending Ning Yan off, Ning Yuan went to the residence of the fifth miss of the Ning family. Uncle, why are you so free to come and see Xi'er today? The fifth daughter of the Ning family, Ning Xi'er, said happily when she saw Ning Yuan. In this family, her eldest uncle was her biggest backer. Without him, she would not have been so doted on in the Ning family. Therefore, in the Ning family, the first person she had to please was her eldest uncle. Of course, eldest uncle Mrs. Xi'er. Ning Yuan said with a kind smile when he saw the cute Ning Xier. Xier also misses eldest uncle. However, Xier knows that eldest uncle is very busy. Even if Xier misses eldest uncle, Xier doesn't dare to rashly disturb eldest uncle. Ning Xier's beautiful eyes were filled with tears as she said pitifully, Xier has grown up and is more sensible now. Ning Yuan said emotionally after hearing Ning Xier's words. Then he asked Ning Xier about her recent life and told her about what Ning Yan had told him. After Ning Xier promised that she wouldn't cause any trouble, Ning Yuan left with a peace of mind. After Ning Yuan left, Ning Xier seemed to have changed into a different person. Her beautiful face became twisted, and the tea set beside her was smashed to pieces. After venting her anger, she yelled at the void. Men! Go and find out who was the one who was talking nonsense in front of first uncle. Ning Xier was furious. She could get whatever she wanted in the Ning family, and in the eyes of the elders she was a sensible person. She also thought that her private actions were very secretive. Rather than saying that those who had been bullied by her would not dare to complain, it would be more accurate to say that even if those people did, no one would believe them. However, what she did not expect was that what she had done today had reached the ears of her eldest uncle, and she had even received a warning from him. How could she not be angry? Although Ning Xier didn't get any response after yelling at him, she knew that the person had already gone to help her investigate. After a long time, Ning Xier had gotten everything she wanted to know. Apart from Leng Ruoxue, she also hated Ning Yan. At this moment, Leng Ruoxue, who was in the courtyard, had no idea that someone in the Ning family already hated her to the core. After dinner, she went to bed early. Late at night, a black, ghostly shadow dodged the heavy guards and sneaked into Leng Ruoxue's room. Just as the black shadow was about to make a move on Leng Ruoxue, who was lying on the bed, it was interrupted by a black tiger. Chapter 1511. The Great Elder is here. 1. The Dark Tiger King stood arrogantly by Leng Ruoxue's bed. Its huge, pitch-black eyes were staring at the looming black figure in front of it with disdain. After a long while, it slowly opened its mouth. Where did this monster come from? Report your name. I don't kill nameless people. However, its words did not receive any response. At this moment, Leng Ruoxue sat up from the bed with a calm expression. Her beautiful eyes sized up the black figure not far away. He didn't know what this black shadow was because it wasn't a real entity, but an illusion. However, the killing intent on his body was real. If it wasn't for the fact that the Shadow Tiger King felt an unusual killing intent, it probably wouldn't have discovered this guy. Sister, don't worry, he won't be able to kill you. At this moment, Qingju's comforting voice could be heard in Leng Ruoxue's heart. Qingju, what is he? Leng Ruoxue could not help but ask. Qingju was very knowledgeable, so he should be able to recognize her, right? Sister, if I'm not wrong, he should have the bloodline of the night race in his body. However, it's not pure. You can also say that he's part of the half-night race. Qingju said after thinking. The half-night race? Leng Ruoxue's face was filled with question marks. Why was there another half-night race? Yes, his invisibility technique is not complete. Otherwise, he would not be so invisible. The reason why he is called the half-night race is because he only has half of the night race's bloodline. As for whether the other half is human or beast, I don't know. Qingju explained. In fact, the Dark Knight race values the purity of their bloodline very much because only those with pure bloodlines can pass on their talent. Therefore, the Dark Knight race usually doesn't marry with the outside world. However, no matter what race, there will always be a few aliens, which also led to the birth of the Half-Dark race. Although their birth is not as good as the Dark Knight race, they are the best materials to be assassins. Qingju continued. You said he's a killer? Leng Ruoxue frowned. His killing intent is very strong, but it's hard to determine if he's an assassin or not. Because no matter if it's the Dark Knight race or the Half-Dark Knight race, they are all born to be battle maniacs. They like to fight and are keen on fighting. Therefore, it's hard to judge their identity just from their aura. Qingju said helplessly. As Qingju spoke, the Dark Tiger King was already entangled with the illusionary black shadow. In order to not be affected by them, Lung Ruoxue found a suitable opportunity to leave the room. Miss, are you all right? Grape and Lotus Seed, who were just about to rush into the room, saw their miss coming out of the room safe and sound, and their hanging hearts were greatly relieved. I'm fine. It's all thanks to the Tiger King for finding that person, Lung Ruoxue explained with a smile. Miss, we'd better share a room with you, Grape said worriedly. This courtyard had been built for many years, so the area of each room was not very big and the layout was not good. There was no place for her and Lotus Seed to step. Therefore, the young lady had asked them to go to the next room to rest. If it were not for their low cultivation level, they would not have appeared after hearing the noise. Fortunately, the young lady was safe and sound, otherwise, they would have blamed themselves to death. Silly girl, I'm fine. Lung Ruoxue understood Grape's meaning and smiled helplessly. Please forgive us, Miss Lung. We're late. At this moment, another voice filled with self-blame rang in Lung Ruoxue's ears. Lung Ruoxue turned around and looked at the person who spoke. However, before she could say anything, Grape spoke first. Why are you guys so late? If anything happens to my family's young lady, can you bear the responsibility? Grape said angrily. Was this the Ning family's guard? They said that they were here to protect them, but they had come later than them. If they had really waited for them to come to protect them, they would have died many times over. Miss Lung, I'm very sorry. We were too careless, the guard captain said with a guilty face. After all, this was the Ning family's main city, so they really didn't expect that someone would attack the Ning family's guests in the Ning family's main city. It's okay, I'm fine. Lung Ruoxue laughed lightly and said nonchalantly, Humph. My family's young miss is kind and can't bear to see you all being punished, so you all have to be more vigilant in the future. If my family's young miss is missing a single hair, your family head will not let you off. Grape warned sternly, but her words made Lung Ruoxue snicker. Don't worry, Miss Lung. Such a thing won't happen again, the captain promised. In fact, they were also afraid. After all, before they had been sent by head butler Ning Yen to protect this young lady, the head butler had repeatedly told them to protect these people's safety. Otherwise, they would be punished by the family law, so they didn't dare to not do their best. However, this was the Ning family's capital city, so they didn't expect that anyone would dare to make a move under the Ning family's eyes. This made them a little angry. Wasn't this eye-piercing? And Lung Ruoxue nodded. Actually, she didn't have any intention of blaming them. Who asked the enemy to be so cunning? To actually send someone who could conceal himself to kill her. And a human sense of smell was not as sensitive as a beast's. In addition, she did not like strangers approaching her residence. Therefore, these guards were very far away from her residence, and it was natural that they did not notice someone had intruded in time. Miss, let's go help the Tiger King eliminate the enemy. Through the window, the captain of the guard saw the figures fighting in the room and said, No need, it can handle it on its own. Lung Ruoxue said calmly, The Dark Tiger King's strength should be on par with the Midnight Assassin. However, humans' endurance could not compare to orcs. This was also one of the main reasons why she was so confident in the Dark Tiger King. Tell me about that fifth miss of the Ning family. Lung Ruoxue thought for a while and said, She had not met many people in the Ning family's main city, not including Ning Hai's family. Other than the acting master of the Ning family and those elders, there was only the fifth young lady of the Ning family, who was said to be doted on. Miss Lung, the fifth young lady's name is Ning Shi-er. Her father passed away when she was very young, but her father was the acting master's younger brother, so the acting master took very good care of her. Otherwise, the fifth young lady wouldn't have been able to live a better life in the main residence than the young lady with both parents. In the hearts of many people in the Ning family, the fifth young lady is cute and understanding, and the elders also love her very much. However, in private, the fifth young lady often beat and scolded the maidservants and subordinates beside her. However, due to fifth young lady's position in the clan, those who were beaten and scolded by her did not dare to speak out. Even if someone were to complain, no one would believe it, and there would not be a good end to it. So as time passed, everyone protected silence. When the captain of the Imperial Guards heard Lung Ruoxia's question, he hurriedly told her everything he knew. The reason why he was so detailed was because he wanted to make up for his mistake. Chapter 15:12. The Great Elder arrives too. It seems that the fifth young lady is quite good at dealing with people. Lung Ruoxia said with a half-smile. Miss, you suspect that the assassin was sent by the fifth young lady? Grape guessed. Grape, how can we make wild guesses without any evidence? Lung Ruoxia said with a smile. Miss, I was wrong. Grape quickly said. However, in his heart, his suspicion of that fifth young lady grew even deeper. Right at this moment, two lightning-like shadows broke out of the window one after the other. Damn it. Don't run if you have the guts. Let's continue for another 300 rounds. The Dark Tiger King's loud voice resounded in the pitch-black night sky. However, the only response it got was a shadow that disappeared into the night. The Tiger King was so angry that it could only stare. White smoke kept coming out from its nose. It was obvious that it was quite angry. Tiger King, calm down. Lung Ruoxia asked, amused by the Dark Tiger King's angry expression. I can't stay calm. This really infuriated the tiger. How could there be such an unrefined human? I haven't had enough yet. He actually ran away. The Dark Tiger King said angrily. This feeling of being stuck between top and bottom was really uncomfortable. He couldn't beat you, so of course he ran. Don't tell me he's going to stay here and wait for death? Lung Ruoxia was very open-minded. But I haven't had enough. Who's going to fight me? The King of Darkness of Night grumbled. His pitch-black eyes kept on scanning the guards, scaring them so much that they fled without even greeting Lung Ruoxia. A bunch of cowards. The Dark Tiger King was even more furious when it saw this. Tiger King, do you want me to play with you? Lung Ruoxia chuckled. You. The Dark Night Tiger King sized up Lung Ruoxia and shook his head as he said, You're too weak. I don't want people to say that I'm bullying the weak. The Tiger King's face was filled with disdain. After he finished speaking, he turned around and returned to his room. As for Lung Ruoxia, who remained in her original spot, she felt depressed when she heard the Dark Tiger King's words and saw the look of disdain on its face. In fact, she felt extremely depressed. So in the eyes of the Tiger King, she was weak? Was she really that weak? Could it be that the Tiger King didn't know the saying that one cannot judge a book by its cover? Judging a person based on their strength would cause them to suffer a great loss. At the thought of this, Lung Ruoxia shouted towards the Tiger King's room. Tiger King, come out, and let's fight for 300 rounds. When Grape and Lotus Seed heard Lung Ruoxia's words, their foreheads were filled with black lines. They thought to themselves, how much of a shock did the young miss go through? She actually had to fight with the Tiger King for 300 rounds. With Miss Small Body, if she really fought with the Tiger King for 300 rounds, wouldn't she be exhausted to death? When the Dark Tiger King, who was in the middle of a lovey-dovey conversation with his beloved wife, heard Lung Ruoxia's provocation, it did not take it seriously and continued to do what it was supposed to do. On the other hand, the female white tiger, Yener, glared at her husband discreetly. She was even more dissatisfied in her heart. This husband was good in every way except that he liked to fight. However, he should not provoke his savior. He clearly knew that the other party's strength wasn't high, yet he still sprinkled salt on the other party's wound. This was really too much. Lung Ruoxia waited outside the courtyard for a while. When she saw that there wasn't any movement from the Umber Tiger King, the anger in her heart started to rise. Tiger King, you don't dare to accept the challenge? I didn't expect you to be so timid. Lung Ruoxia provoked him on purpose. When the Dark Tiger King heard Lung Ruoxia calling it a coward again, it couldn't stay in the room any longer. However, before it could do anything, it was subdued by Yener's light words. If you go out, you'll take the child and leave this place. Yener said with a smile. Yen, or that girl is provoking us outside. If I don't go out, she'll think that I'm afraid of her. This is a matter of your husband's face. The Dark Tiger King pleaded, but Yener remained unmoved. She's my and my child's savior. What if you hurt her? Yen'er raised her brows and asked. This stupid tiger had no idea how to control its strength when it fought. Even a god king would be injured by its claws, let alone a delicate little girl like Lung Ruoxue. I won't go out, the Dark Tiger King said helplessly. It knew that his wife's words were not without reason. That little girl would not be able to withstand one of its claws. This is more like it. Yen'er nodded in satisfaction. After Lung Ruoxue finished speaking, she noticed that there was still no response from the Dark Tiger King's room. She could not help but feel a little dejected. It seemed like the Tiger King was determined not to come out. Miss, the Tiger King is probably sleeping. Grape saw that his expression was not good and quickly said, well, let's sleep too. Lung Ruoxue said helplessly. Miss, you can sleep in my room and Lotus Seed's room. Your room is already uninhabitable. Grape reminded. No need, I have a place to sleep. After Lung Ruoxue finished speaking, she took out a small and exquisite house and placed it on the empty space in the courtyard. As Lung Ruoxue's thoughts moved, the house slowly became bigger. However, the space in the courtyard was limited, so the entire house was slightly smaller than a normal house. However, it was enough for her to enter. Miss, what is this? Grape was a little dumbfounded. The young miss actually brought a house with her. This should be a spatial divine artifact, right? The house. Didn't you guys see it? Lung Ruoxue laughed evilly. This was the first time she had used this house ever since she came to the immortal realm. It wasn't that she didn't want to use it, but she was afraid that others would be after it. After all, she understood the principle that a man's wealth was his own fault. However, now that they were in Godfather's territory, she didn't think that anyone would dare to snatch her things here. Miss, quickly put it away. If others see it, it will bring you trouble. Grape quickly reminded. She had lived in the divine realm for many years, so she had naturally heard of a kind of spatial god tool that could be used for people to live in. However, it was extremely difficult to refine such a god tool, and it was not something that an ordinary god could possess. When she saw her own young miss take out such a spatial god tool that could be used for people to live in, she immediately felt a little dizzy. Woo. The stimulation that young miss had given her these few days was really too great. First, a godfather of the Ning clan's old ancestor appeared, and now she took out a spatial divine tool that was hard to get even if one was worth 1,000 gold. AI. They really didn't know what other secrets the young miss had that they didn't know. Would it scare them? Calm down. There's no one else here other than you guys. Lung Ruoxue gave Grape and Lotus Seed a consoling look. Why not? Aren't we the same? At this moment, a familiar voice filled with dissatisfaction was heard. Lung Ruoxue turned her head towards the source of the voice and smiled indifferently. You guys are really not human. You brat, you've become bad. The person who spoke was the Dark Tiger King, who had shut himself in the room earlier. Beside it stood Yen'er, and the two little tigers were lying on their mother's back with drowsy eyes, their faces filled with confusion. Chapter 15:13. The Great Elder Arrives 3. I thought you guys were asleep. How could you bear to come out? Lung Ruoxue chuckled as she teased. Previously, she had called out for so long, but this black tiger refused to come out. Now a house had actually drawn them out. Sigh. It seemed like this house was more attractive than her. She felt a little sour in her heart. You heartless girl. We only came out because we sensed the fluctuation of spiritual energy, and were afraid that you would be in danger. As the Dark Tiger King spoke, its eyes were fixed on the house that had suddenly appeared in the courtyard. Its face was filled with curiosity. Thank you. I'll be staying in this house tonight. It's safe here, so you can rest assured. Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. Little girl, this is a spatial divine tool, right? Aren't you going to take us in for a tour? The Dark Tiger King said, a little embarrassed. You want to take a look? Lung Ruoxue raised her brows and looked at the Tiger King's family. Yes. The Dark Tiger King nodded, and Yen'er's face was filled with anticipation. Then let's go in together. After Lung Ruoxue finished speaking, she brought Grape, Lotus Seed, and the Tiger King's family into the house. After they entered, Lung Ruoxue told them to do as they pleased while she returned to her room to sleep. Lying on the bed in her room, Lung Ruoxue couldn't help but sigh. The room that she had carefully decorated was still the most comfortable to sleep in. No matter how luxurious the house outside was, it wasn't her own. Looking at everything in the house, she missed the godly mainland even more. The next morning, the first thing Lung Ruoxue did when she woke up was to keep the house. The Tiger King's family did not want to leave, so she left them in the house while she came out with the grapes and lotus seeds. Not long after breakfast, Ning Yan heard the news and rushed over. When he saw that Lung Ruoxue was unscathed, he heaved a sigh of relief. "Miss Lung, it's a good thing you're fine. Otherwise, I really don't know how to explain to the family head," Ning Yan said apologetically. He knew very well how much the master doted on his goddaughter. If anything happened to Lung Ruoxue, he would not be able to bear the responsibility. "Butler Ning Yan, don't worry. I'll take care of myself." Lung Ruoxue expressed her stance. She was no longer a 3-year-old child. How could she be killed so easily? Moreover, she still had the cosmic bangle. "Miss Lung, I've arranged for some guards to protect you. In addition, I've also prepared a few maidservants for you." After Ning Yan finished speaking, he waved his hand and 4 maidservants walked in. The first thing they did was to bow to Lung Ruoxue. They were extremely respectful, and did not look down on her just because she was a mere mid-tier divine warrior. Lung Ruoxue sized up the 4 maidservants that Ning Yan had brought with him. Although they weren't particularly beautiful, they were quite powerful. They were all divine lords, and their attitudes were neither servile nor overbearing. Lung Ruoxue couldn't believe that they were actually maidservants. "Miss Lung, they are maidservants that our Ning family has carefully trained, specially prepared for the women of the family. I was a little careless before, and didn't expect that someone would dare to fight in the Ning family's territory, but fortunately, Miss Lung was not injured," Ning Yan said with a look of self-blame. Hearing Ning Yan's words, Lung Ruoxue knew that if she didn't accept these 4, he wouldn't let her go so easily. So, she could only reluctantly nod her head. However, these 4 women were indeed carefully cultivated by the Ning family. Without her command, they were already standing in the corner like shadows. If she didn't know that these 4 were here, she probably wouldn't have even sensed their existence. Lung Ruoxue was also well aware that no ordinary woman had the right to use such a maidservant. After making some arrangements for the courtyard, Ning Yan finally left the courtyard in the evening. Now that the 4 maidservants Ning Yan had arranged for her to stay, Lung Ruoxue couldn't take out her room to sleep like she did the night before. Although this was her godfather's territory, he had not returned yet. In her eyes, these 4 maidservants were outsiders. Naturally, she didn't want outsiders to know about her trump card. Grape and Lotus Seed were a little upset that they couldn't rest in the spatial divine artifact, but they had no choice. Ning Yan had sent more people to the courtyard. Now he could see 1 guard every 10 meters, which was really inconvenient. She slept for another night. The next morning, Lung Ruoxue was woken up by a clamor. "Young miss, you're awake. There are 2 old men outside, and they're clamoring to see you." Seeing that Lung Ruoxue had woken up, Grape hurried over to her bedside. "Old man." Lung Ruoxue was stunned, not knowing who Grape was talking about. However, after a simple wash-up, she left the room. "Little girl, you're finally awake. Sop. I missed you so much." Lung Ruoxue had just stepped out of the room when she was hugged by an old man. Looking at the old man's bawling face, she could not help but feel her forehead fill with black lines. "First Elder, why have you come?" Lung Ruoxue asked in surprise. Could it be that Liyue had already received the letter she had asked Shen Nua to deliver? However, didn't Shen Nua say that he still had other matters to attend to and wouldn't be able to return to the Alchemist Guild headquarters so soon? "What do you mean, why am I here? You don't welcome me? You're a girl without a conscience." The first elder of the Craftsmen's Guild headquarters looked at Lung Ruoxue with a bitter expression. I didn't mean it that way. I'm just curious. How did you know I was here?" Lung Ruoxue asked. "Of course I heard it from the Ning family. When the Ning family sent someone to deliver the letter, I was with that old thing," the great elder said honestly. Oh, where's Godfather? Lung Ruoxua looked around, but she only saw First Elder. Didn't Grape say that there were 2 old men? Could it be that the other one was referring to Godfather? But where was his godfather? You damn thing, why are you hiding? He was still clamoring to see the girl just now. Hurry up and get out here. The First Elder's roar echoed in the courtyard, but no one came out. When Lung Ruoxua heard First Elder's words, black lines appeared on her forehead. She thought to herself, why is Godfather still hiding? What kind of game was this? Little girl, that old thing is shy. Seeing that no one had come out after a long time, the First Elder said with a smirk, Shy? It's not the first time Godfather has seen me. What's there to be shy about? Lung Ruoxia's beautiful face was filled with question marks. To think that the Great Elder could say it out loud. How could Godfather be shy? He has to be shy. You'll know when you see him later. The Great Elder's face was mysterious, but he did not say the reason. Lung Ruoxua didn't expect that First Elder would keep her in suspense. Helpless, she could only wait for her godfather to jump out on his own. When the Great Elder saw that the master of the Ning family was too embarrassed to come out, he was overjoyed. He pulled Lung Ruoxua to sit in the courtyard and began to chat about daily life, asking all sorts of questions. It was almost noon when Grape came over to tell him that the food had been prepared. Only then did the Great Elder feel hungry. He looked at Lung Ruoxua expectantly, as if asking, "What do you want to eat for lunch?" Chapter 15-14. I don't have money. I only have my life. 1. Lung Ruoxua could not help but laugh when she saw First Elder's expression. Godfather and this Great Elder were both gluttons. However, it was not an easy task to satisfy their appetite. Fortunately, she had already made arrangements for the grapes. "Miss, where are you having lunch?" Grape asked. Usually, they would eat with the young miss on the stone chair in the courtyard. However, the Great Elder in front of her was not an ordinary person, so she really did not dare to make this decision. Great Elder is not an outsider. It's fine as long as you act as you usually do. Lung Ruoxua said with a smile. Right. I'm not an outsider. The First Elder said with satisfaction. Ruoxia's words were very much to his liking. If this little girl treated him as a guest, he would be angry. Grape nodded and left with a smile. Not long after, she and Lotus Seed served up a delicious dish that looked, smelled, and tasted. The Great Elder drooled as he looked at the delicious food in front of him. He was about to reach out with his chopsticks to pick up the food, but who knew that just as he lowered his head, the food in front of him disappeared without a trace. Damn old thing, you dare to steal my vegetables. The Great Elder looked at the figure that disappeared in a flash, and his heart was filled with anger. However, no one responded to his anger. When Lung Ruoxua saw this, she laughed helplessly. Godfather, what the hell are you doing? Although the figure just now was so fast that no one could detect it, she knew in her heart that no one could snatch food from the hands of the Emperor God except for her unrespectful godfather. You piece of shit, return the food. Otherwise, I'll tell everyone about what happened. The Great Elder threatened the void. As soon as he finished speaking, a bang was heard. An empty plate was returned to its original position. Seeing this, the Great Elder's anger grew. Did something happen to Godfather? Hearing First Elder's words, Lung Ruoxua mumbled to herself. She was extremely curious about what First Elder was talking about. Little girl, do you know why this old thing doesn't dare to meet people? The Great Elder turned around and asked angrily. Why? Lung Ruoxua was very cooperative. Old thing, if you dare to betray me, I will not let you off. Before the First Elder could speak, a threatening voice was heard by Lung Ruoxua and the rest. The owner of this voice was naturally the master of the Ning family who was hiding in the shadows. You stole my vegetables and now you're threatening me. Do you think I'm afraid of you? The Great Elder pouted and said disdainfully. He did not believe that the old thing would dare to appear in front of Ruoxua. Godfather, didn't you want to see me? Why are you hiding? Lung Ruoxua asked in confusion. My good daughter, it's not convenient for Godfather to see you now. Please forgive me. The depressed voice of the master of the Ning family came from the void, followed by a heavy sigh. Wuxia, don't fall for his trick. How can it be inconvenient for a man? He's clearly doing something wrong and doesn't dare to see you. The first elder provoked, but he was already laughing in his heart. Damn old man, don't talk nonsense. When did I do anything wrong? As soon as the first elder's voice fell, the roar of the Ning family master rang out. Watching the two distinguished old men quarreling like children, Grape and Lotus Seed were a little dumbfounded. Was this the legendary master of the Ning family, and the head elder of the Craftsmen's Guild? How could they be like this? Could this be the so-called meeting in person is better than hearing your name? Listening to their conversation, Grape and Lotus Seed's idle dream was shattered. You guys stop arguing. Godfather. You don't need to hide anymore, come out. Lung Ruoxia's forehead was full of black lines. Why couldn't these two people let him stop worrying? Although this was one of the ways they could bond, it also depended on the time. Girl, I said it's not convenient for me. The master of the Ning family's bashful voice came from the void. Godfather. I'll count to 3. If you don't come out, you'll have to bear the consequences. Lung Ruoxia was helpless and could only threaten him. Don't count. I'll come out. Yes, master. Master Ning said quickly, and then walked out from the back of the house unwillingly. Lung Ruoxia looked at Master Ning, who was using a cloth to cover his face, and the doubt in her heart deepened. Although this old man was a little narcissistic, he wasn't to the extent of covering his entire face, right? Could it be that he was afraid of getting tanned? If it wasn't for the fact that she could tell from the voice and figure that this person was her godfather, she would have thought that her godfather had been switched. Or had her godfather's narcissism increased again? She was filled with question marks. Girl, it's wrong to threaten others. Master Ning walked to Lung Ruoxia after he came out, and said with a slight grievance, Godfather, is this your new image? Lung Ruoxia wiped away the cold sweat on her forehead and couldn't help but ask. Girl, you're right. This damn old man can't be seen in public. The first elder said with some schadenfreude. What do you mean? Lung Ruoxia's beautiful eyes kept sizing up Master Ning, trying to find something. Little girl, why have you come to the divine realm? Master Ning did not answer Lung Ruoxia's question, and tried to change the topic. He had thought that this little girl had already become a deity, which was why she had come to the divine world. Who knew that she was still a mid-tier deity? With such strength, how dangerous would it be to come to the divine world? Godfather. We'll talk about this later. Let's talk about you first. You're covering your face so tightly, don't tell me you're afraid of getting tanned. Lung Ruoxia furrowed her brows and asked suspiciously. Girl, you're right. I'm afraid of getting tanned. The master of the Ning family seized the opportunity. Godfather. Even a 3-year-old kid wouldn't believe you. Lung Ruoxia reminded. That's right. Little girl, this old thing is actually disfigured. The great elder revealed the secret with a wretched smile. No one will think you're mute if you don't speak. Shut up. The master of the Ning family shouted unhappily when he saw the great elder tear down his stage. However, the great elder was all smiles and didn't care about his anger at all. Disfigured. Lung Ruoxia's beautiful eyes turned back to Master Ning's face. As a reverent god, how could her godfather be disfigured? It's not that serious. I was just bitten by a few insects on the way back. The master of the Ning family was afraid that Lung Ruoxia would be worried, so he quickly explained. After he finished speaking, he even glared at First Elder fiercely. That damned old thing, who asked him to be so nosy? Bitten by an insect? Let me see. Lung Ruoxia asked worriedly. The worms in the god world were very powerful and poisonous, so they couldn't be careless. No need. I'll be fine. The master of the Ning family refused. Godfather. Lung Ruoxia deliberately dragged out her voice, her beautiful eyes fixed on Master Ning, causing Master Ning's hair to stand on end. She continued to say, I'm fine. It's true. I'll have to see it first. You're the one who asked me to see it. Or do you want me to do it myself? Lung Ruoxia said with a faint smile. Although she had given a multiple choice question, the result would be the same. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.